LoveLore Library. Chapter 644. Guijinbiao was rich, and he was a nouveau riche. Therefore, he was very pretentious. This time, he came with his extended Hummer. However, when he saw that it was only an underling who greeted him at the door, Guijinbiao's face immediately changed. This Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan don't take me seriously, right? So, he said to Master 7 with a sullen face, Master 7, it seems that Bao Sanli doesn't put you in his eyes. He only sent such an underling. Master 7 looked at the lights outside the window and Guijinbiao's luxurious car. His throat moved, but he didn't speak in the end. When I joined the underworld, I brought a group of people with me. It was good enough that I could eat every day. How was it like now? These underworld people lived such a glamorous life. They drove luxury cars, held beautiful women, and were surrounded by a group of underlings. Although my status in the underworld was very high, Master 7 was very poor. Yes, he was really poor. He stopped in 1983. At that time, he had tens of thousands of yuan in his hands. In 1983, how much was the salary of an ordinary worker at that time? The concept of 10,000 yuan household was proposed in the 1990s, so it was quite badass to have tens of thousands of yuan in savings at that time. It could be said that he was the richest. But now, tens of thousands of yuan was really nothing. Yes, he couldn't even afford a corner of a house. Looking at those latecomers, even an ordinary underling had a higher income than him. Master 7 was jealous and at a loss. Although the younger generation in the underworld respected him as the seventh master, what was the use? His life was still poor. His only pleasure was to mediate when there were underworld disputes, and then he would take some filial piety. Over time, Grandpa 7 also began to take sides. He would help whichever side gave him more money. Fortunately, there were no particularly big contradictions. Most people respected him as a senior, so they didn't bother with him. This time, Guijinbiao promised to give Master 7 500,000 yuan after the matter was done. Master 7 was immediately tempted. 500,000 yuan, TSK, these underworld people are really rich. Thinking about it, I saved a few tens of thousands of yuan, which was a lot. However, apparently, Master Qi also noticed this time that this Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan didn't fall for his trick. He might not be able to get the 500,000 yuan. But even if he couldn't get it, he had to fight for it. There was no other way. Master Qi could only follow Guijinbiao to the door of the Nightless Club for the second time. When they first came, Bao Sanli personally came out to greet them. However, after 7th Master stated Guijinbiao's conditions, Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan's faces immediately darkened. They didn't even send them off before they were kicked out. This time, it seemed like it was going to be tough. Master Qi looked at Guijinbiao beside him and shook his head. Sigh, for the sake of 500,000, his reputation was completely ruined by this guy. 7th Master, please. The underling was instructed by Ho Jinhan. He was still very respectful to Master Qi, but he wasn't so respectful to Guijinbiao. Boss Gua, you too. Humph. Master Qi didn't say anything, but Guijinbiao snorted. He raised his head and asked, where is Bao Sanli? Tell him to come out and get me. President Bao has a distinguished guest. He can't come. The underling replied coldly. What about Ho Jinhan? Guijinbiao rolled his eyes. President Ho is also accompanying a distinguished guest. The underling replied indifferently. Fuck, can't you see that Master Qi is here? Guijinbiao was angry this time. What distinguished guest can be more distinguished than Master Qi? Motherfucker, this Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan don't give Master Qi face, right? Boss Gua, please pay attention when you speak. The underling glared at Gu Jinbiao. It's not up to you to say what President Bao and President Ho do. Fuck, look at what you can do. No matter what I say, it's not up to you to say it. Gu Jinbiao scolded, who the fuck are you? You dare to talk about me? Fuck your mother. With that, Gu Jinbiao stretched out his hand and was about to slap his little brother. However, he didn't expect that a large group of people would rush over with iron rods in their hands and stare at Gu Jinbiao like a tiger eyeing its prey. The 4 bodyguards that Gu Jinbiao brought also quickly stood in front of Gu Jinbiao to protect him. Okay. Master Qi said, give me face. Jinbiao, don't be impulsive in other people's territory. Okay, I will give face to Master Qi. Gu Jinbiao pretended to be magnanimous. In fact, his heart was beating like a drum. This is other people's territory. My 4 bodyguards are useless. Idiot. The underling before scolded and said to the people behind him, then give face to Master Qi. Gu Jinbiao followed Master Qi and came to the conference room upstairs. But he didn't see Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli, so he asked impatiently, we are all here. Why isn't Bao Sanli here yet? Are you fucking blind? The underling who served them tea heard it and scolded directly, didn't I just tell you? Brother Bao and Brother Ho are accompanying the distinguished guests. That, Master Qi, please have some tea. Okay, thank you. Master Qi was also strong on the outside but weak on the inside. He only had a reputation now. He had nothing else. So at this time, seeing that the 2 groups of negotiators didn't get along, he didn't dare to say anything. He took the teacup and kept drinking water. Yeah, I was wondering who came. Isn't this Master Qi? Welcome. At this time, Bao Sanli just walked in and saw Master Qi. He quickly said enthusiastically, but he directly ignored Gu Jinbiao on the side. Ho Jinhan was by Yang Ming's side, following Bao Sanli in. Yang Ming came directly to the main seat of the conference room and sat down. However, when Yang Ming sat down, Gu Jinbiao, who was drinking tea on the sofa, immediately disagreed. He pointed to Yang Ming and said loudly, Yang Ming, what do you mean? The main seat should be made for Master Qi. Who is he? Bao Sanli ignored Gu Jinbiao but said to Master Qi, I think you shouldn't get involved in this matter. You are already so old. TSK, if things are too intense, your heart can't stand it. Motherfucker, Bao Sanli, you are too much. Gu Jinbiao stood up suddenly. How can you talk to Master Qi like that? What do you mean by getting involved? The 7th Master has always been a respected senior for those of us who come out to mingle. If there is a conflict, we will naturally look for Master Qi to mediate. This has become the rule of the underworld. Do you mean that you want to break this rule and become enemies with all the gangs in the entire province? Gu Jinbiao's words were quite serious. It suddenly turned Bao Sanli into a person who broke the rules and made him an enemy of all the gangs in the province. Rules? Who made this rule? You made it. Yang Ming suddenly sneered. This is Songjiang, not Jiduan. Your rules don't work here. If you continue to act like a badass, do you believe that I won't let you go back to Jiduan? Who the fuck are you? Gu Jinbiao said angrily after listening. This rule was set by the boss of Donghai, Brother Sun Hongjun. Why? Do you want to go against him? Let me tell you, you don't have to scare me. It's useless. I, Gu Jinbiao, am not scared. When I came out, you were still wearing diapers. Since I am here this time, then I am not going to go back empty-handed. You have to agree to my conditions even if you don't want to. Don't think that I am talking big. Since I dare to say this, I naturally made sufficient preparations. You want to threaten me? It's ridiculous. I have already talked to brother son of Dong Hai. If you don't agree, then wait for our two gangs to punish you together. In fact, Guo Jinbiao was also a little guilty, so he deliberately exaggerated the facts. From just now, he felt that the atmosphere today was not right. It was not good. Not to mention the attitude of the underling before, he didn't know what the young man who came in with Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan was doing. Moreover, looking at their intention, they meant to keep him here. Guo Jinbiao was also a little scared. Therefore, he had to use Donghai's Sun Hongjun as a shield because Sun Hongjun's power was the largest in the nearby cities. If Sun Hongjun intervened, he believed that Bao Sanli and the others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. However, these words were just his bluff. Although he had mentioned this to Sun Hongjun before, Sun Hongjun's attitude was very unclear. He didn't say that he supported his approach, but he also didn't say that he didn't support it. Guo Jinbiao also understood that Sun Hongjun wanted to sit back and watch the two sides fight. Whichever side won, then he would rope in that side. After all, Sun Hongjun didn't want to get involved in their mess. But bragging didn't need to be taxed, so Guo Jinbiao still made up a bunch of nonsense. Ha 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 ha. I'm dying of laughter. Chapter 645. But he didn't expect that as soon as his voice fell, a harsh laughter came into Guo Jinbiao's ears. Guo Jinbiao looked up angrily, but he saw that the person who sneered was the young man who came in with Bao Sanli. What are you laughing at? Guo Jinbiao was ridiculed, and he immediately felt a little embarrassed. He was also a boss. How could he tolerate being made fun of by a kid he had never seen before? Who are you? Master Qi is here, and you are so presumptuous. Bao Sanli, what do you mean by bringing this kid here? We don't need to let the underlings participate in our discussion, right? He directly regarded Yang Ming as Bao Sanli's underling. It was no wonder. He had never seen Yang Ming, and he didn't know the position of Yang Ming in Songjiang. It was normal to have such an idea. After all, Bao Sanli had sent an underling to humiliate him before. You are wrong. Yang Ming waved his hand and said faintly, Bao Sanli didn't bring me here, but I brought Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan to negotiate with you. You? Bring Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan. Guo Jinbiao immediately felt that his brain was a little short-circuited. What is going on? Something is wrong. What is the background of this kid? He actually brought Ho Jinhan and Bao Sanli. Do you think that you have a lot of face? Yang Ming smiled and said with some ridicule, I can come here personally because I am giving face to Master Qi. As for you, you are not worthy of me giving you face. You. Guo Jinbiao just wanted to curse, but then he stopped. It seemed that the person in front of him wasn't an underling. Since he dared to say so, and Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan didn't refute, what did it mean? Could it be that this guy is really a big shot? Thinking of this, Guo Jinbiao had to be cautious. After all, this was someone else's territory. It was fine to curse the other party's underlings. After all, he was also a boss. But if he pointed at the other party's boss and scolded, it was a provocation. He really couldn't go back. But seventh grandpa. Yang Ming changed the topic and looked directly at seventh grandpa. I have already given you face. I respect you as a senior, so I won't make things difficult for you. So, you can leave now. The seventh master's face flushed red. Although he had not been the big brother for many years, his position in the Jianghu was still there. Everyone acted very well on the surface and was very respectful to seventh master. Now, Yang Ming didn't buy his words at all. How could the seventh master not be angry? But what was the use of being angry? He also knew his own weight. These people in front of him were the underworld's rookies. The seventh master had never dealt with them before. If they didn't respect him, he could only accept it. However, since he took Gui Jinbiao's 500,000, he could only bite the bullet. This little brother, Old Seven, was invited to mediate the underworld dispute. Everyone respects me as a senior and respectfully calls me seventh master. So, little brother, since you also call me seventh master, then listen to my advice. Our underworld matters have always been peaceful. This time, you beat Gui Jinbiao's son, Boss Gui's son. You should compensate. This is your fault. If you insist again, then there will be a river of blood. Yang Ming listened to seventh master's words and frowned. Is this old man taking advantage of his seniority? He was so indecisive when he spoke. He waved his hand impatiently and said, if this is the case, then I will call you Old Seven. Old Seven, you should go home quickly. Otherwise, the river of blood will scare you. You, how can you talk like this? Seventh master didn't expect Yang Ming to simply not give him face. Bao Sanli, send the guest out. Yang Ming said faintly. Yes. Bao Sanli nodded and then walked to seventh master. He said coldly, please, seventh master. Our boss asked me to send you home. How can you say this? If you continue like this, you will be swallowed by other gangs sooner or later. The underworld isn't like you. You have to be moral. Seventh master still wanted to say something, but he was dragged out by Bao Sanli by his arms. Gui Jinbiao's face changed again and again. He didn't expect Yang Ming to be so strong that he directly dragged seventh master out. How could he know that Yang Ming was already giving face to this old guy? Otherwise, even he would be left here. Originally, Gui Jinbiao wanted to stop Bao Sanli from taking seventh master away, but he only had 4 underlings on his side. They were all other people's people. If there was a conflict, it would definitely be disadvantageous to his side. Gui Jinbiao really regretted coming to the Nightless Club. Originally, he thought that with seventh master here, Bao Sanli wouldn't violate the underworld's morality and do anything to him. However, he was wrong. He ignored the variable Yang Ming. Who exactly was this new boy? Listening to Bao Sanli just call him boss, then isn't he? Gui Jinbiao's scalp was numb. It can't be, right? How is this possible? Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan aren't the real boss of Songjiang, but the real behind-the-scenes boss is this boy in front of me who seems to be only in his early 20s. Moreover, it could be seen that this boy was quite strong. He didn't put me in his eyes at all. This made it difficult for Gui Jinbiao to guess the true identity of Yang Ming. Is he the young master of a powerful person? Therefore, Gui Jinbiao had to leave a way out for himself. His wishful thinking was wrong. Originally, he thought that even if Bao Sanli didn't give him face, he had to give face to seventh master and compensate for some of the medical expenses. Even if he didn't compensate, he wouldn't do anything to his people. But now it seemed that the young man in front of him drove seventh master away and left him here. What does that mean? Gui Jinbiao's back couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. This little brother. No matter what, seventh master is a respected figure in our underworld. Aren't you afraid of causing public anger by doing this? Gui Jinbiao's voice wasn't as strong as before. There was a hint of discussion. Seventh master is a person respected by Sun Hongjun. Boss Sunday, aren't you afraid of being an enemy of Boss Sun? Hee, do you know why I laughed just now? Yang Ming looked at Gui Jinbiao mockingly. Why? Although Gui Jinbiao didn't like to be led by the nose by others, he wanted to know why Yang Ming laughed, so he could only answer like this. You said that Sun Hongjun wants to deal with you. Asked Yang Ming with a strange look. Yes. Brother Sun and I are best friends. We have reached a consensus. Guo Jinbiao didn't know what Yang Ming meant, so he was somewhat nervous, but he still said in a threatening manner, who would mind having a bigger territory. Donghai, Jiduan, and Songjiang are originally neighboring territories. You should be very clear about brother-son strength. Oh. Yang Ming nodded and said, what you said later is right. I was a little puzzled before. Do you know why your son was beaten until he was disabled? Wasn't it just a sentence that offended Bao Sanli? Guo Jinbiao was angry when he mentioned this. You have to look at the owner before you beat the dog, let alone his own son. No. 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 Yang Ming waved his hand and said, wrong. It's fine that he offended Bao Sanli. I beat him because he was entangled with my woman. Your woman? Guo Jinbiao was stunned. When did my son entangle your woman? This was the first time he heard of it. He thought that his son was beaten until he was disabled because he provoked Bao Sanli, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case. You don't even know what your son did wrong, and you still want to ask me for medical expenses. It's ridiculous. Yang Ming said disdainfully, of course, she is my woman. I can tell you that Sun Jia is my woman. What? Sun Jia? Guo Jinbiao looked at Yang Ming in a daze. What's with your expression? Do you know why I laughed just now? Yang Ming had a look of disdain on his face as if he was an idiot. Do you think my father-in-law will help you snatch my territory? Are you stupid? Guo Jinbiao was shocked at the moment. Yes, there were no other words to describe his current mood. How is this possible? The man in front of me is Sun Hongjuan's son-in-law. So, whether you say that my father-in-law respects Master Qi or that I hate him, this is our family matter. It has nothing to do with you, an outsider. Yang Ming said faintly, well, I don't have time to waste with you. Tomorrow morning, I have to go to Donghai to visit my father-in-law. Of course, I don't mind giving him a big gift. After all, it's my first visit as a son-in-law. What do you mean? Guo Jinbiao looked at Yang Ming's evil smile and suddenly felt a little unnatural. It should be about time, right? Li Chang, this kid, is really too slow. Yang Ming looked at his watch and said to himself. Dang dang dang. At this time, there was a knock on the door outside. Yang Ming looked up and suddenly felt happy. Just as I was talking about this kid came. Chapter 646. Come in, said Yang Ming. When the door opened, Li Chang, Lu Chao, Wang Peng, and Lu Xinyang came in. In their hands, they were holding 3 people who were tied up. Boss, the mission was successfully completed. The 4 places of the money gang have been cleared. The Genia building has also been occupied by our people. There were no casualties in this operation. Li Chang said loudly. However, Guo Jinbiao's face was already ashen. If someone just stood up and said that the headquarters of the money gang was occupied, he definitely wouldn't believe it. Why? It was very simple. With such a large industrial base and manpower, how could Jiduan City be occupied by the money gang? So Guo Jinbiao would think that this person was bragging. But now, it was different because the 3 people who were tied up were his own right-hand men and his military advisor. These 3 people could be said to be his own team. They were caught at the same time. It was self-evident what this meant. You actually dare to not talk about the morality of the underworld. Guo Jinbiao was completely scared this time. Yes, Yang Ming's posture today was definitely not going to let him go. Morality of the underworld. Yang Ming was amused after hearing it. What is morality of the underworld? You just threatened me to sweep my territory with my father-in-law. How did it become that I don't talk about morality of the underworld in a blink of an eye? Guo Jinbiao's face changed again and again. He would never have thought that there would be such a result today. Yes, Yang Ming is right. What is morality of the underworld? That is a cover-up. The truth of the underworld is that the winner is the king. Little brother. No, Boss Yang, I was wrong before. I didn't figure out the truth of the matter, so I came to ask for compensation. I apologize to you here. Guo Jinbiao begged for mercy. There was no other way. People had to lower their heads under the eaves. Guo Jinbiao, I said, are you stupid? Yang Ming said coldly, you just said that you are wrong and you are done with it. I gave you a chance before. If you didn't entangle with me, I wouldn't bother to go to Jiduan City to take care of you. But you've come to me with physical conditions again and again. My patience has reached its limit. Take him away. I don't want to see him again. Yang Ming waved his hand and said to Bao Sanli. Yes, brother Yang. Bao Sanli waved his hand. A few underlings held Guo Jinbiao and pulled him outside. You. What are you doing? You can't do that. Let me go. Guo Jinbiao was shocked. Seeing that Yang Ming was really going to kill him, he immediately became anxious. Yang Ming was unmoved. Bao Sanli naturally wouldn't sympathize with this Guo Jinbiao. During this time, this Guo Jinbiao had been using the name of Seventh Master to act pretentiously. Bao Sanli had had enough. He couldn't wait for Yang Ming's words to quickly destroy this pretentious guy who would be struck by lightning. I can give you a sum of money. Don't kill me. Guo Jinbiao was scared. Of course, he wasn't as tough as he looked on the surface. He was also afraid of death. Seeing that Yang Ming still didn't speak, Guo Jinbiao continued, I can give up my business in Jiduan City. Just let me go. I will run far away. I will never come back. I will go abroad, oh. You still have money to go abroad. Yang Ming smacked his lips and said, wait. Guo Jinbiao thought that Yang Ming was going to let him go, and he was immediately happy. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Yang Ming continue. He seems to be very rich. Yang Ming said, find a way to get his account number and get the money out. Understood, he. Bao Sanli smiled sinisterly. Guo Jinbiao was disappointed for a while. He really couldn't escape this, so he didn't care. He cursed, fuck your mother. You will die a horrible death. Humph. Yang Ming didn't want to lower himself to his level, but when he heard this guy's filthy mouth, he was immediately annoyed. He picked up the teacup on the table and hit Guo Jinbiao's body. It hit Guo Jinbiao's acupuncture point, and Guo Jinbiao suddenly lost his human form. He struggled and howled as he was dragged away by Bao Sanli. As for the three people who were caught, Yang Ming waved his hand and asked Ho Jinhan to take them away. Ho Jinhan and the others should know how to deal with them. This kind of high-level figure of the money gang couldn't be kept. After they went out, Yang Ming said to Li Chang and the others approvingly, not bad. You didn't let me down. What? Boss, those people's combat power is too weak. Many of the brothers are complaining. Before they could fight, those people pretended to be dead and ran away. They are a group of motley crew. Occasionally, there was resistance, but they were all soft-footed shrimps. They finished the battle with one punch. Li Chang smiled bitterly. Ha! Yang Ming shook his head after listening. This could be imagined. The general gang members had the ability to scare the people. If a strong opponent appeared, they would run faster than anyone else. Well, no matter what, the mission was done well. Yang Ming said, each brother will be given a reward of 1,000 yuan. Li Chang, the four of you will each get 3,000 yuan. Go to the finance department to get it later. Thank you, boss. Li Chang said very gratefully. They were already paid, but there was still a reward for the mission. The boss was simply too good to them. However, the few of us will also get 1,000 yuan. It will be the same as the brothers, do as you wish. Yang Ming didn't insist. Do a good job. I won't treat you badly. Guo Jinbiao was a coward, a very coward. He couldn't stand it when Yang Ming poked his acupuncture point. Before he was taken a few steps away, he told his account number and password. He didn't want anything else. He just wanted to die, a quick death. He really couldn't stand it anymore. As for the territory of Jiduan City, Ho Jinhan instantly sent someone to take over. As for the issue of property rights, there was naturally a special lawyer responsible for it. By the way, the Wang's group was now under the name of Ming Yang. Those lawyers who specialized in dealing with the underworld affairs were very good at invading other people's property. Gui Jianchao was now the chairman of the Wang's group. However, the Wang Century Xiongfeng Group had been renamed to Ming Yang Entertainment Company, Limited. It specialized in the management of entertainment venues such as hotels, nightclubs, and so on. Although Gui Jianchao was the chairman in name, the shares of the group were still under the name of Ho Jinhan. However, Gui Jianchao was already very satisfied with this. At least now he was much tougher than before. With the underworld background, people in the industry respected him. However, he wasn't proud because he knew that he was just a dog of Yang Ming, so he always reminded himself to be low-key. Otherwise, he might end up like Wang Shifan one day. Wiping out Jiduan City was Yang Ming's temporary idea. His original ambition wasn't to control the underworld. He just firmly grasped this unsafe factor in his hands. When he returned home, his parents hadn't fallen asleep yet. Yang Ming sighed and sat helplessly next to his parents. I just came home and went out. His parents must have wanted to see me, so they didn't go to sleep. Dad, Mom, you haven't slept yet? Asked Yang Ming. I'll wait for you to come back before sleeping. Yang Dehai patted Yang Ming's shoulder. Big Ming, how was the trip abroad? Did things go well? It was okay. It was basically smooth. Yang Ming said, I found a diamond mine in South Africa and directly mined the diamonds myself. Oh, that's good. Yang Dehai nodded. Big Ming, I heard that South Africa isn't very safe. Some countries change governments all day long. A temporary government fell, and another one came up. Isn't it too dangerous for you to mine there? Mother Yang asked with some concern, what if the mine is taken back? Yang Ming thought, unless the leader of the temporary government doesn't want to live anymore. How can this mine be given out? That's the reward for the assassin group. If they dare to take it back, they are simply courting death. This kind of thing wasn't a secret at all. Even if it was a new temporary government, it would be clear who could be touched and who couldn't. They wouldn't find trouble for themselves. However, Yang Ming certainly couldn't explain it like this, so he said, this thing is a risk investment. I found a relatively stable country to open the mine. There shouldn't be a problem. Then you be careful. If it is taken back, you can't go head-to-head with others. Mother Yang advised. Mom, you can rest assured. I'm not a child. I have a sense of propriety. Yang Ming said helplessly. He didn't know when it started, but the content of the family chat became more formal. In Yang Dehai's view, this was the performance of a child who had grown up. They talked about the Songjiang bus factory for a while. The restructuring of the bus factory had been on the right track. The approval had been issued, and the restructuring was imminent. Yang Ming completely let his father do it. He wasn't very concerned about these things. It wasn't until late at night that the family fell asleep. However, when she knew that Yang Ming was going out the next day, Mother Yang complained, saying why didn't Yang Ming say so earlier? If she knew that he was going out, she wouldn't talk to him. The next day, Yang Ming got up at 6 o'clock. Yang Ming's biological clock had become a habit. Especially during this period of training, it made Yang Ming's schedule change seriously. It was enough to only sleep for 4 or 5 hours a day. Without disturbing his parents, Yang Ming went downstairs alone and drove Ho Jinhan's BMW X5 to Donghai. In any case, he had promised Sun Jie, so he must do it. Sun Hongjun got up early today. Although he was very dissatisfied with Yang Ming visiting him so late, he was still looking forward to it. His daughter was already so big, but she didn't even have a boyfriend. This had always been a big worry for Sun Hongjun. There were even comments outside that said that his daughter was a lesbian. This made Sun Hongjun very annoyed, but there was no smoke without fire. Sun Hongjun knew what his daughter was like. After investigating openly and secretly, Sun Hongjun really found some clues. Although there was no obvious proof that his daughter was a lesbian, at least he found a lot of women's XX videos on his daughter's computer. This made Sun Hongjun anxious. But he didn't dare to lay his cards on the table with his daughter. Who knew what the result would be? Sun Hongjun also knew that his daughter had a conflict with men because of the previous incident, so he could only be anxious. Now, he finally heard that his daughter had a boyfriend. How could he not be anxious to meet him? No matter what, his Sun family was also a famous family. In Donghai, it could be said that he meant what he said. His daughter found a boyfriend, so he must be careful. People were always greedy. There was no end to desire. Originally, his daughter was willing to have a boyfriend, which made Sun Hongjun very happy. But in addition to being happy, he felt that he had to find someone who was worthy of his daughter. He had also seen the information of this Yang Ming, but he was too ordinary. He was just a college student. There was a big difference in age between him and his daughter. Although at that meeting, Yang Ming put forward a few relatively novel ideas, Sun Hongjun didn't think that Yang Ming was very powerful. In this year, there were too many people who knew how to do business. Moreover, Sun Hongjun had a thought. That was to train his son-in-law to be his successor. He also understood that Sun Jiwei, that kid, was a good-for-nothing. He couldn't be helped, and he couldn't stick to the wall. Although Sun Hongjun also wanted to train him, this guy was really a good-for-nothing. Looking at his daughter, she had the ability and courage, but she was a girl. This kind of thing in the underworld wasn't done by a woman after all. Therefore, Sun Hongjun had never let his daughter get involved in the underworld. He only gave her part of the business to take care of. Therefore, Sun Hongjun also wanted to see if Yang Ming had the ability to lead the underworld. After passing the toll booth, Yang Ming called Sun Jie. Sun Jie had already prepared. After receiving Yang Ming's call, she immediately drove to pick up Yang Ming. Your car. Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming's car with some surprise. Hee, isn't this going to your house? I have to borrow a good car to put on a facade. Yang Ming smiled. Come on. My dad has investigated your family background. Sun Jie said helplessly, but she was somewhat grateful to Yang Ming for valuing her. The two luxury cars drove to the Sun family's courtyard one after another. The Sun family was the most powerful family in Donghai. The Sun family's villa was like an independent fortress, symbolizing the status and power of the Sun family. 100 miles away from the Sun family's villa was an open space. Being able to buy such a large piece of land in the provincial capital wasn't something that could be done with money. It was said that this was not only for safety, but also for peace. Otherwise, the nearby cars would be noisy. Sun Hongjun had been standing at the window on the second floor. When he saw his daughter's car coming back, followed by a BMW, he couldn't help but be stunned. When did this Yang Ming buy a car? The person who came to greet Yang Ming and Sun Jia was the Sun family's butler, Sun San. In Sun Hongjuan's view, even so, he had already given Yang Ming a lot of face. Mr. Yang. Sun San said politely. Uncle San. When Yang Ming saw Sun San, he called out affectionately, "Thank you for the last time." "You're welcome, Mr. Yang." Sun San said humbly. Outside, Sun San was a strong person, but in the Sun family, he was just a butler. Moreover, Yang Ming was very likely to be the future son-in-law, so Sun San naturally had to respect him. "Okay, Yang Ming, are you here to see my dad or to catch up with Uncle San?" Sun Jia was anxious. Her father had already lost his temper this morning. He said that this Yang Ming was more arrogant than him. Now that she saw Yang Ming dawdling and not going into the house, she couldn't help but scold him. "Oh, then let's go." As Yang Ming said, he directly put his hand on Sun Jia's waist and walked into the house. "What are you doing?" Sun Jia was shocked and quickly whispered. "Aren't you my girlfriend? What's wrong with holding you?" Yang Ming pretended to be puzzled and asked. Sun Jia clenched her teeth and could only endure it. She said fiercely, "Well, you can do whatever you want today, but if you expose me, don't blame me for getting even with you." Hee, don't worry. You can't expose me. Yang Ming said indifferently, "Besides, we have done it before. We still have this tacit understanding." Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming, but she couldn't do anything. She had to pretend that she didn't hear it. However, this Yang Ming was really hateful. His hand actually started to be dishonest and slowly moved towards Sun Jia's buttocks. "Little Jia, you're back." At this time, a woman in her 40s greeted them and said with a smile, "Is this little Jia's boyfriend?" Yang Ming didn't know the origin of this woman, and he didn't dare to pretend. There were too many people in Sun Jia's house. There were butlers, servants, aunts, and aunts. Who knew if Sun Hongjun had a mistress? "Mom, this is Yang Ming." Sun Jia quickly introduced, "Yang Ming, this is my mom." "Oh, hello Mom." Yang Ming's mind was thinking about dirty things. He was trying to figure out if Sun Hongjun had 3 wives and 4 concubines. When Sun Jia suddenly talked to him, he didn't think much and directly said such a sentence. "Yang Ming." Sun Jia also saw that Yang Ming was absent-minded and pinched Yang Ming hard. However, the woman smiled from ear to ear. Good, this child, your mouth is quite sweet. The only regret in my life is that I didn't have a son. Now, I have. Ugh, auntie, hello." Yang Ming was pinched by Sun Jia and immediately woke up. He said quickly, "Little Jia, what's wrong with you?" The woman was immediately unhappy when she heard it. She glared at Sun Jia and said, "What Yang Ming calls me is our business. What does it have to do with you? Why are you interfering?" "Mom. Sun Jia was really dumbfounded, but she also knew her mother's temper. When she gave birth to her, she had a difficult labor. As a result, her mother gave birth to her by cesarean section, but she couldn't give birth again. This was also a regret of her mother because her mother liked boys very much. Although her father didn't say anything, there had to be someone to inherit such a big family business. Her mother was even more guilty. So much so that when Yang Ming called out, "Mom," she was so happy that she was like this. "Auntie. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with little Jia." Yang Ming said, "In fact, it was like this. I came to your house for the first time. I was a little nervous, so I accidentally followed Sun Jia and called you Mom, Sun Jie snorted at Yang Ming's explanation. Nervous? If you are nervous, can you still slip away? He was obviously spouting nonsense. If that's the case, then it's fine. Why don't you call me Mom in the future? It's the same anyway. In the future, when you and little Jia get married, don't you have to call me Mom? Just treat it as calling me Mom in advance, said Sun Jie's mother. Mom, I haven't even gotten together with him yet. What are you talking about? Sun Jie said. To be honest, Sun Jie really didn't consider the possibility of continuing to develop with Yang Ming. After all, the age gap between the two people was too big, and Yang Ming had a girlfriend. This time, she looked for Yang Ming just to appease her father. Sun Jie was a very proud woman, and her vision was very high. At least, the current Yang Ming was just pleasing to the eye. She didn't hate him. If he wanted her to fall in love with him, then he had to make some achievements that were worthy of her attention. I think little Yang is very good. I agree, Sun Jie's mother said without thinking. Cough cough. Sun Hongjun saw that he couldn't not come forward. His wife liked to be emotional. If things were settled like this, wouldn't it be a bit too hasty? Dad. Sun Jia also saw her father who was coming down the stairs. Uncle Sun, hello. Yang Ming looked at Sun Hongjun and greeted him with a smile. However, he was secretly looking at Sun Hongjun carefully. Chapter 647. Sun Hongjun was an inconspicuous man. He wasn't tall, and his hair was somewhat balding, but he couldn't hide his fierce aura. Yes, this was the aura of a superior. Yang Ming now gradually had this kind of aura, but Yang Ming was usually very easygoing and not serious, so it was well hidden. However, Sun Hongjun didn't need to hide it. Donghai's Sun family was useless to hide it, so it was better to be strong. It seemed that Sun Hongjun, this inconspicuous guy, could have a beautiful daughter like Sun Jia because of Mother Sunday. Although she was over 40 years old, she was still charming. It could be seen that she must have been a beauty when she was young. However, who does Sun Jia's chest resemble? Auntie isn't as big as Sun Jia's. Could it be that Sun Jia drank too much papaya soup? Yang Ming thought evilly. While Yang Ming was looking at Sun Hongjun was also looking at Yang Ming. This young man looked very energetic, but Sun Hongjun had always sneered at men's looks. In his opinion, a capable man, no matter how ordinary he looked, would be admired by others. On the contrary, if you were not capable, no matter how handsome you were, you could only be a gigolo. Therefore, Sun Hongjun's first impression of Yang Ming was not special. A person's appearance couldn't reflect anything. He had to go through his own test to see whether Yang Ming was a qualified son-in-law candidate. However, Yang Ming's casual and cynical attitude made Sun Hongjun frown. This kind of ruffian attitude in society made Sun Hongjun feel that Yang Ming couldn't do great things. After Yang Ming greeted him, Sun Hongjun nodded silently and said, "Old San, tell the servant to pour tea." "Master, I have already called for someone," Sun San said respectfully. "Don't bother, Uncle Sunday," Yang Ming said faintly. "Uncle Sun, Auntie Sun, Happy New Year." Yang Ming didn't know the surname of Sun Jia's mother, but it was always right to call her Auntie Sunday. She was Sun Hongjun's wife, a member of the Sun family. "Happy New Year, hee hee." Sun Hongjun's face suddenly became cold. "Today is the 15th. The new year has passed, right? Hee hee." Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. Although Sun Hongjun felt that Yang Ming's performance was very easygoing and not polite, he still didn't like it. After all, he didn't have a good impression of Yang Ming. How could he visit after the 15th? Wasn't this a little too disrespectful? "You're really arrogant," You made this old man wait for so long. Sun Hongjun snorted coldly. Yang Ming also saw that Sun Hongjun was really critical of him, but he wasn't the kind of person who liked to deliberately please others. Although Sun Hongjun was a big shot, wasn't he also a big shot? So he said coldly, Uncle Sun, although Donghai and Songjiang are close, it is more than 2 hours away. The new year isn't like usual. Who doesn't have something to do? Yang Ming's implication was that he had his own things to do during the new year. It was impossible for him to come to Donghai to see Sun Hongjun and leave other things behind, right? When Yang Ming's words came out, the scene suddenly became cold. Sun Hongjun was also stunned. He didn't expect Yang Ming to actually be angry. He couldn't help but be speechless. Sun Hongjun was a character who could shake the world with a stomp of his feet in Donghai. Usually, even the politicians had to smile when they talked to him, but he didn't expect that Yang Ming actually didn't give him face. While Sun Hongjun was surprised, he was somewhat curious. Doesn't Yang Ming know my identity? Even if he doesn't know, he should be respectful to his girlfriend's father, right? Little did he know that Yang Ming's small vent of dissatisfaction in his heart had greatly increased Sun Hongjun's good impression of him. There were too many people who usually flattered him. Sun Hongjun had been somewhat numb. Over the years, few people dared to go against his will. Even if there were, they had disappeared from the earth. Now, Yang Ming's move made Sun Hongjun feel that Yang Ming was still a person with a backbone. At least, when he was with Sun Jia, he didn't covet anything, and he wouldn't deliberately please Sun Hongjun. However, having a backbone was just having a backbone. This could only make Sun Hongjun have a good impression of Yang Ming, but what Sun Hongjun valued most was his personal ability. Yang Ming. Sun Jia saw that the atmosphere was cold. She looked at Yang Ming with some blame and whispered, "What are you talking about?" Apologize to Dad. Sun Jia certainly knew what kind of person her father was. At that time, the man who almost lied to her had disappeared from the face of the earth. Yang Ming was brought by her to pretend to be her boyfriend. She didn't want Yang Ming to be implicated because of her. Ha! Sun Hongjun suddenly smiled and said, Yang Ming is right. Who doesn't have anything to do? Why are you apologizing? Yang Ming was also a little nervous when he spoke. If he was impulsive, he didn't want to ruin Sun Jia's plan. Unexpectedly, Sun Hongjun actually laughed, which made Yang Ming somewhat unexpected. Uncle Sun, something did happen in my family. Otherwise, I would have come over earlier. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed, so he explained. It's fine, it's fine. Sun Hongjun waved his hand and said, sit down. Okay. Yang Ming nodded in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing and sat on the sofa in the living room. Sun Hongjun and Mother Sun sat opposite Yang Ming, and Sun Jia sat next to Yang Ming. Yang Ming. So, I still call you Little Yang. You don't mind, right? Sun Hongjun took a sip of the tea that Sun San brought over and said. Of course, I don't mind. Uncle Sun, you are an elder. Yang Ming smiled. You should still call me Uncle Sunday. I should be much older than your father. Little Jia is 6 years older than you, and I only had little Jia when I was 30 years old. Sun Hongjun, intentionally or unintentionally, hinted at the age gap between Yang Ming and Sun Jia. He wanted to see how Yang Ming thought about this issue. Is it? Yang Ming said easily, I think uncle is very young, but since you like me to call you uncle, then it's fine. This is just a title. Then, Yang Ming changed the topic and pretended to be surprised. Little Jia is 6 years older than me. I thought she was younger than me. When Sun Hongjun heard Yang Ming's words, his head was full of black lines. This guy really lies without blinking. Don't you know Sun Jie's real age? However, since Yang Ming said that he didn't know, Sun Hongjun couldn't say, "You are bullshitting, right?" So, Sun Hongjun had to say, "Hee hee. You look more mature, and little Jia takes good care of herself." Oh, it turned out to be like this. Yang Ming suddenly nodded and said, "A woman who is 3 years older will hold a gold brick. A woman who is 6 years older will hold a diamond." This time, even the people in the room, including Sun Jia, were shocked by Yang Ming's words. Their hair was almost smoking. Seeing a room of people staring at each other, Yang Ming pretended not to know and said, "You all. What's wrong? Am I wrong? That is holding 2 gold bricks. Yang Ming, can you be serious?" Sun Jia kicked Yang Ming's leg with her foot and whispered to remind him. Yang Ming was actually intentional. Even if he was usually casual, he wouldn't be like this. However, he didn't like what Sun Hongjun said just now. What's wrong with a woman being older than a man? Can't it be? This made Yang Ming couldn't help but think of Shao Qing. So, Yang Ming would say such a thing. A woman who is 6 years older will hold a diamond. What about a woman who is 10 years older? Will she hold a ruby or something like that? Very interesting theory. Although Sun Hongjun heard Yang Ming's messy theory, he also heard that Yang Ming didn't reject the fact that a woman was older than a man from the bottom of his heart, so he was relieved. What he was most afraid of was that the age gap between the two was too big and there was no common language, but it seemed that Yang Ming didn't care about this at all. "I heard that you are also a student at Songjiang Industry University." Sun Hongjun changed the topic and asked casually. "Yeah, could it be that Uncle Sun is also a student?" replied Yang Ming. "Pooh, cough cough." Sun Hongjun just took a sip of tea. After listening to Yang Ming's answer, he almost choked to death. He coughed for a long time and said, "I am already so old. Why would I go to a university? If I want to go, I will go to a university for the elderly. I am talking about little Jia." How could Yang Ming not know that Sun Hongjun couldn't be at Songjiang Industry University? However, Yang Ming deliberately said that. Because of this short meeting, Yang Ming had basically figured out Sun Hongjun's temper. This old man was amenable to force but not persuasion. The more you were polite to him and the more you flattered him, the less he liked you. The more casual you were, the more he liked you. It had to be said that Yang Ming was quite accurate this time. Sun Hongjun's men, who dared to talk to Sun Hongjun like this? Moreover, Sun Jia was a girl. She always had to behave like a lady at home. It was impossible for her to joke with him. Therefore, Sun Hongjun was very envious when he saw other people's children and grandchildren chatting and enjoying family life together. Therefore, he wanted his daughter to get married quickly and give birth to a grandson for him. Now, Yang Ming was joking with him so casually. Sun Hongjun suddenly felt a lot younger, and his heart was a lot more relaxed. "Oh, it's little Jia. I thought we were also schoolmates," said Yang Ming. "Okay, next time when you talk, I can't drink water. Otherwise, I will be choked to death." Sun Hongjun waved his hand. Sun Hongjun had already recognized Yang Ming's character. However, Sun Hongjun was a person who took the overall situation into consideration. He couldn't recognize Yang Ming as his son-in-law just because he had a good chat with him. After all, the Sun family's business was the highlight. Moreover, Sun Hongjun was also afraid that Yang Ming was just deceiving his daughter's feelings and wanted to get the Sun family's property. After all, the age gap between the two people was too big, so Sun Hongjun was very worried. His daughter's cheating boyfriend looked so honest. Wasn't he also after the Sun family's money? Therefore, Sun Hongjun was still very cautious about choosing a son-in-law. Little Yang, I won't hide it from you. I did a simple investigation of your family before. As far as I know, your family situation isn't very good. Your mother was laid off, and your father is a worker in a machinery factory. Do you think that if little Jia is with you, won't she be wronged? What do you mean? Yang Ming also knew that Sun Hongjun would investigate him, but he didn't quite understand Sun Hongjun's meaning. My business is going to be left to my nephew, Sun Jiwei. If little Jia is with you, then she is a member of your Yang family. Do you think you have the ability to make her happy? Sun Hongjun explained. Hee hee. Yang Ming smiled. Uncle Sun, I don't know what is happiness in your opinion. Yang Ming was also considered a smart person. How could he not know the meaning of Sun Hongjun's words? Sun Hongjun was giving him a preventive injection first, telling him that if he wanted to covet the Sun family's property, it was absolutely impossible. Moreover, not only did he not get any benefits, but he also had to support the Sun family's young lady. She was used to luxury since she was a child. Let's see what you can do. However, to be honest, Yang Ming was really not interested in Sun Hongjun's family business. Sun Hongjun's family property was not even a fraction of his own deposit in a Swiss bank. Moreover, for the underworld forces controlled by Sun Hongjun, Yang Ming was not tempted. Now, his own team was enough. With Li Chang's group, it was enough to challenge any force. Do you have money? Do you have a house? Do you have a car? Yang Ming looked at Sun Hongjun with a smile and said, or two people who love each other. This. Sun Hongjun didn't expect Yang Ming to kick the problem back to him again. How could he know that Yang Ming was already a master of Tai Chi when he was in high school? He always returned other people's questions back to them. Of course, two people who love each other, but at the very least, there must be a material basis to guarantee it. Sun Hongjun thought about it and said, you are just a college student now. Do you think you have a material basis? What is the material basis? Money. Yang Ming said, to be honest, I don't value these. Yang Ming was right. He didn't value money very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have casually given more than 3,000 yuan to Lin Jiyun when he didn't have much money. It's not wrong to not value money, but in this world, there are some things that can't be done without money. Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming and said word by word. In his opinion, Yang Ming was still too idealistic. He was just a college student who had not stepped into society. He firmly believed that love was greater than everything. He had not tasted the hardships of life. I said that I don't value money, but I didn't say that I don't have the ability to make money. Yang Ming smiled and said, Uncle Sun, if you have investigated me, you should know that my current identity isn't a real estate marketing plan. It's just a temporary identity. I have a jewelry company with a friend. Although it can't be compared to Uncle Sun's family business, I still want to support little Jia. Sun Hongjun nodded. Of course, he knew the things that Yang Ming said. Although Song Jiang wasn't in Sun Hongjun's sphere of influence, Yang Ming's jewelry company had made such a big move. It hadn't opened yet, but it was already well known in the industry. How could Sun Hongjun not hear about it? Sun Hongjun stared at Yang Ming for a long time. When he saw that there was no hypocrisy in Yang Ming's eyes, Sun Hongjun was relieved. He was afraid that Yang Ming and Sun Jia had ulterior motives. As long as it wasn't, then the rest was naturally easy to talk about. Little Yang, you should also know what our Sun family does, right? Sun Hongjun was most worried about the problem of the successor. He deliberately said that he would give the business to his nephew, Sun Jiwei, just to see Yang Ming's reaction. However, when he saw that Yang Ming didn't mind, Sun Hongjun was secretly relieved, but he had some regrets. It seems that Yang Ming is a person who doesn't like disputes. Can such a person lead the underworld of Donghai? In his opinion, Yang Ming couldn't fight for it, but he couldn't not fight for it. Sun Hongjun was a bit embarrassed. But how could he know that it wasn't that Yang Ming didn't fight for it, but he didn't care about his business at all? Yang Ming's own business was big. He didn't lack these things of the Sun family. Moreover, Yang Ming's character was that if you respect me, I will return you 10 feet. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I will kill them. When he heard Sun Hongjun ask this question, Yang Ming hesitated and didn't hide it. He said calmly, I heard that the underworld forces of Donghai are all secretly controlled by Uncle Sun, right? Yes. Sun Hongjun didn't deny it. He nodded and said, since you know, aren't you afraid? Ha! Yang Ming smiled. Why should I be afraid? Haven't you seen my wife is a big boss? I suggest you watch it. That film is very funny. Sun Hongjun was speechless. Yang Ming is really not afraid. Or is he brainless? Just kidding. Yang Ming smiled and said, didn't Uncle Sun say that you want to leave these to Sun Jiwei? So what does it have to do with me? Shao Jia and I have returned to Songjiang. Naturally, we can't be connected. Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming and realized for a moment. Right, you and my nephew, Sun Jiwei, are classmates. It turns out that you know very well that I can't pass the business to that prodigal. So that's the case. Sun Hongjun misunderstood. He thought that Yang Ming's performance was just a pretense. Yang Ming was playing hard to get in order to win his favor. However, Yang Ming didn't like his, so that's the case. He was open and aboveboard, but this old guy actually thought of him as such a wretched person. So he said calmly, Uncle Sun, to be honest, I'm not very interested in the underworld. You don't like what I said. If it is so interesting to be in the underworld, why don't you do it yourself? Instead, let the Tian family take care of the underworld. In my opinion, the underworld is just a means to an end. It can also be said to be a tool. I really don't put this kind of thing in my eyes. If I like the underworld, I can totally mingle in Songjiang. Why do I have to go through so much trouble to come to Donghai? Sun Hongjun listened to Yang Ming's words and suddenly became annoyed. Young man, your tone isn't small, right? Listening to what you said, you look down on the underworld. I didn't say that. Yang Ming shook his head. But I don't think there is anything great about the underworld. Humph, then according to your meaning, you can mingle if you want to. That's good. Sun Hongjun was also humiliated by Yang Ming, so he said in a fit of pique, I will leave my words here today. Don't you think it is easy? Is there nothing great about it? Then you go and unify the underworld of Songjiang for me. I, Sun Hongjun, will agree to marry my daughter to you without saying anything. Otherwise, I will be the first to oppose this marriage. Mother Sun saw that her husband was angry, and she was suddenly stunned. We were just talking well. Why did we quarrel? Mother Sun's impression of Yang Ming was still very good. She didn't have as many concerns as Sun Hongjun. In her opinion, as long as Yang Ming was easygoing, her daughter liked him, it was enough. So she quickly persuaded, Hongjun, aren't you making things difficult for other people's children? I'm making things difficult. This is what he said himself. There is nothing great about it. Sun Hongjun said coldly. How much effort did you spend? How many years did you use to have the current situation in Donghai? Mother Sun complained, you ask little Yang to unify the underworld of Songjiang. Aren't you kidding? Sun Jia was also somewhat in a dilemma. This Yang Ming, really? He is still so arrogant and male chauvinistic. Can't you bear it? However, unexpectedly, she heard Yang Ming say indifferently, Song Jiang, what is the underworld of one city? Do you need to add another city? For example, Jiduan City. Chapter 648. What? Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming inexplicably. Yes, in his opinion, did Yang Ming eat the wrong medicine? One Song Jiang is not enough. He actually added another Jiduan. Even Sun Jia thought that Yang Ming was crazy. If it was Song Jiang, Yang Ming and Bao Sanli had a good relationship. After discussing with him, maybe he would arrange a higher gang identity for Yang Ming, which would fulfill his father's request. But Yang Ming actually said that he wanted to add another Jiduan city. In the past, Sun Hongjun spent about 10 years to unify the underworld of Donghai, and it wasn't a complete integration. In Donghai, there were 6 or 7 gangs, large and small. Except for the Tian family, which was controlled by the Sun family, the others could only be regarded as under the wings of the Sun family. Yang Ming actually said that he wanted to unify the underworld of 2 cities. Wasn't this a fool's dream? Moreover, Sun Hongjun also knew the situation of Jiduan City. Although Jiduan City wasn't big, there was only one money gang operating there. The money gang's boss, Guo Jinbiao, wasn't a good person. Sun Hongjun was also annoyed by Yang Ming, so he said angrily, well, this is what you said. When you unify the underworld of these 2 cities, I will give my daughter to you. Humph. As Sun Hongjun said this, he stood up and turned to go upstairs. In his opinion, this Yang Ming was simply too arrogant. Even if you don't covet my Sun family's business, you can't talk like this, right? Understanding that Yang Ming didn't mean to covet the family business, Sun Hongjun was furious. When he returned to the study, the phone rang. Sun Hongjun frowned. This phone number wasn't open to the public. Only a few of his men knew about it. If there wasn't a big matter, they wouldn't call. Hello. This is Sun Hongjun. Sun Hongjun picked up the internal phone. Big brother, I am old Tian. Tian Long, the family master of the Tian family, said. What's the matter? Sun Hongjun was in a bad mood now, so his tone was a little impatient. If there is nothing big, let's talk about it later. I want to rest. Big brother, something big has happened. Tian Long's voice was somewhat anxious. What happened? Sun Hongjun also became solemn, because he knew Tian Long's temperament, he would not disturb him for ordinary matters. Guo Jinbiao of Jiduan City was killed. Tian Long said. What? You said that Guo Jinbiao was killed by someone. Sun Hongjun was shocked and his voice changed a little. Yes, I just received the news, and the news is true. The official news is that Guo Jinbiao died in a car accident. Tian Long said. Car accident? An accident? Sun Hongjun frowned. When Guo Jinbiao had an accident, he was in Songjiang. Said Tian Long, Songjiang. Was it done by Bao Sanli and the others? Sun Hongjun was also very clear about the grievances between Guo Jinbiao and Bao Sanli, so he immediately thought of Bao Sanli. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. Tian Long said. What about Jiduan City? Sun Hongjun's eyes lit up. He immediately realized that if Guo Jinbiao died, then the territory of Jiduan City. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to expand outward. This old man. Mother Sun smiled embarrassedly at Yang Ming. Little Yang, don't listen to his nonsense. Just do what you need to do. I will persuade him later. It's okay, Auntie Sunday, Yang Ming smiled indifferently. Little Yang, you can rest assured. Mother Sun said, Auntie is very optimistic about you. Don't look at this old man's limitless glory in front of outsiders. At home, he is only the second in command. Hee, then I'll have to trouble Auntie Sun. Yang Ming's impression of Mother Sun was still very good, so he said very kindly. Sun's mother also smiled and said, just because you called me Mom just now, I have to help you. I want to hear you call me Mom in the future. Hee. Yang Ming scratched his head embarrassedly. Little Jia, Yang Ming came to Dong Hai. You take him around. I will talk to your dad again. Let's have dinner together tonight. Mother Sun said. Yang Ming also knew that Mother Sun wanted him and Sun Jia to avoid taboo before she could persuade Sun Hongjun, so he said, it just so happens that I have come to Dong Hai a few times. I haven't really strolled around yet. Then, little Jia. You and Yang Ming can eat outside at noon. You don't have to come back. Mother Sun said. Okay, Mom, I got it. Sun Jia said, don't worry. We will eat when we are hungry. We are not children anymore. After saying goodbye to Mother Sun, Yang Ming and Sun Jia left the Sun family's villa together. Yang Ming, what's the matter with you? As soon as they went out, Sun Jia frowned and scolded, if you continue like this, aren't you afraid that my dad will be angry? Sun Jia, our business is our business. I just don't like your dad's tone. It seems like I am plotting against his property. Yang Ming snorted. But you have to give me some face, right? Sun Jia was a little unhappy. I say, Yang Ming, we agreed before. You help me this time. I'm here to give you face. Yang Ming said helplessly. Forget it. Sun Jia sighed. Go back at night and apologize to him. Just consider it as helping me. Why? Yang Ming asked, anyway, it's just pretending. Just do it. If you are rejected, then I have to continue to find a boyfriend. Sun Jia glared at Yang Ming. What's wrong with that? Just find another one. Yang Ming said indifferently. You find one for me. Sun Jia said, it's easy to say. Why don't you let Guo Jianchao pretend? I think he will definitely follow your dad's wishes. Yang Ming smiled. Okay, if you are not worried that something will happen between me and him, it's fine. Sun Jia said with a bad mood. What's the matter? Asked Yang Ming. What do you think? Sun Jia patted Yang Ming's hand on her hip and said with some annoyance, just like what you are doing now. Then I am quite at a loss, ugh. Yang Ming smiled and said, Sun Jia, let me ask you something. What's the matter? Sun Jia came to the parking lot, took out the key, and prepared to drive. Let's go out in my car. Yang Ming said, to be honest, your sports car is really not suitable for running in the city. Sun Jia thought about it and agreed. Anyway, going out with Yang Ming, she didn't have to drive herself, so she put away the car key and then got into Yang Ming's BMW. Sun Jia, in addition to me, have you done that with other men? This was a question in Yang Ming's heart that he had always wanted to know. That incident was really weird, really. After recalling what Sun Jia said at the time, Yang Ming vaguely felt that Sun Jia seemed to have something important to say. The sentence "I am very clean" made Yang Ming feel that there must be something wrong with it. Later, after more contact with Sun Jia, Yang Ming gradually found that although Sun Jia occasionally made some impure jokes with him, she usually behaved very seriously in the company or in some social occasions. She was not like a loose woman at all. Moreover, if Sun Jia was really loose, it was impossible not to have a second time after doing it with him once. Other things aside, Yang Ming felt that his ability in that aspect was still relatively strong. It was completely due to the side effect of Lan Ling's voodoo, However, Yang Ming had been in contact with Sun Jia so many times, and Sun Jia didn't have any special hints or demands. This made Yang Ming very puzzled. Even if Sun Jia wasn't very repulsed by his harassment, it didn't mean anything. After that, Yang Ming accidentally remembered Sun Jia's MP4 player and remembered the content of the movie inside, so a bold idea flashed in Yang Ming's mind. Could it be that Sun Jia is a woman? Therefore, when Yang Ming asked, he deliberately emphasized that it was another man and not referring to others. Why are you asking this? Sun Jia didn't want to mention this more. Isn't it not your first time? But I think you are. Yang Ming said as he started the car. Ha! Sun Jia laughed and said, it's funny. You are simply a male chauvinist. Do you think it is possible? No, you misunderstood. Yang Ming shook his head and said, I mean the first time with a man, can you understand me? Sun Jia's face changed in an instant, but it was quickly covered up. How sharp was Yang Ming's insight? How could Sun Jia's instantaneous change escape from Yang Ming's eyes? What man or woman? Yang Ming, what do you want to say? Sun Jia didn't expect Yang Ming to actually begin to doubt her. I say, Sun Jia, are you a lesbian? Yang Ming looked at Sun Jia with a smile and said suddenly. Chapter 649. Hey! Sun Jia's shock wasn't small. She looked at Yang Ming in a daze. Looking at Sun Jia's strange expression, Yang Ming was also a little hesitant. Could it be that she isn't? Did I wrong her? However, Yang Ming's heart was uncomfortable for no reason. He was a very chauvinistic person. Naturally, he didn't want Sun Jia to have other men besides him. Therefore, he would rather believe that Sun Jia was a lesbian. Moreover, lesbians were different from broken-hearted men. For Yang Ming, lesbians seemed easier to accept. If he found a lesbian as his wife, he could just find her other half to be his wife as well. Then, no one would suffer a loss. Therefore, Yang Ming's nerves couldn't help but be a little nervous. His ears perked up, and he glanced at Sun Jia, waiting for her answer. However, in the next moment, Yang Ming was overjoyed. His heart was bursting with joy. Because he suddenly heard a voice. How did he know? Could it be that he saw something when I did it with him? This was Sun Jia's thought at the time. Unfortunately, it was heard by Yang Ming. Ha! My special ability that works sometimes doesn't always play an unexpected role at the critical moment. It is said that the chain drops at the critical moment, but my special ability is the opposite. Since he got the answer he wanted, Yang Ming didn't need to continue to ask. This kind of embarrassing thing, a woman with a character like Sun Jia wouldn't easily tell him. Yang Ming also knew that Sun Jia was looking down on him now. She was treating him like this only because of the accident. However, this was enough. Yang Ming hadn't seen Sun Jia treat any man so well. This also showed that his guess was true. At most, he would work hard slowly. When he and Sun Jia had further development, he would slowly ask. Yang Ming's previous attitude toward Sun Jia could be said to be dispensable. He didn't want to take Sun Jia for himself. But at this moment, it was different. Yang Ming would never ignore his own woman. Of course, the prerequisite was that he had to be this woman's only man. However, Sun Jia was also a little fox. After a brief emotional loss of control, she recovered her usual calmness and said in an exaggerated tone, "Yeah, let me tell you. Your sister is bisexual." If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely be shocked. He wanted to take revenge just now. He was waiting to see Yang Ming's surprised expression, but he saw that Yang Ming's expression was not abnormal at all. Instead, he said with an "I see." Then, Sun Jia, should we have a threesome together one day? Or is it a threesome? Sun Jia was speechless. This Yang Ming is really shameless. He can say anything. However, he still replied fiercely, "You want to play with me? Sure, but you have to deal with my dad first." Sun Jia was just joking. In her opinion, what her father asked Yang Ming to do was simply an impossible task. Okay, but you have to ask for your partner's opinion. Yang Ming said seriously, "Don't wait until I have completed your dad's request. If your partner doesn't agree, if I agree, she will agree." Sun Jia said without thinking much. In fact, Sun Jia's words were equivalent to admitting the fact that she was a lesbian. However, the more she said so, the more it seemed like a joke. If Yang Ming hadn't heard Sun Jia's real thoughts before, he would have thought that Sun Jia was joking at this moment. Where are we going? Yang Ming wasn't very familiar with the route map of Donghai. Although there was a navigation system in the car, he didn't know the destination. It was useless to have a navigation system. "You haven't eaten in the morning?" Sun Jia said, "It's almost noon. Let's find a place to eat first." "Alright, what's good in Donghai?" To be honest, the last time he came to Donghai for business, Yang Ming left in a hurry and didn't have time to stroll around Donghai. Donghai and Songjiang aren't far from each other. They are all in the same province. The food is similar. Sun Jia shook her head, then thought about it and said, "Why don't we go to the home of six tastes? It's also a famous food here. When it's time to eat, it's very popular. We have to line up. If we want to go, we should go now. Otherwise, we have to wait for the line to be called." What is the home of six tastes? Is it really so popular? Yang Ming wondered. The cuisine in the home of six tastes is created by the boss. It is said that all the spices used in the dishes are no more than 6. There are only soy sauce, vinegar, salt, sugar, MSG, and chili. However, the taste is really good. Many people from the nearby counties and cities come here because of its reputation. Sun Jia introduced. "It seems that you go there often." Yang Ming smiled. "What often? I'm the same as you. I stay in Songjiang all year round. Every time I come back to Donghai, it's either a holiday or something. How can I have time to go there to eat?" Sun Jia smiled bitterly. "It's just a small shop. We don't go to that kind of place to entertain guests at home." "Then how do you know so much?" Yang Ming asked curiously. "I always went there when I was in school. When I was in high school, I often went there with my best friend. The home of six tastes was not far from our high school." Sun Jia said, "Now that I think about it, I really miss the days when I was in school." "Ha, I can see that you are from the rich class." Yang Ming looked at Sun Jia's longing look and smiled. "When I was in high school, I wasn't as rich as you. Didn't you not value money?" Sun Jia was still a little worried about Yang Ming's performance at home. Holding a grudge. Yang Ming shook his head. After all, Donghai was a provincial capital city. The roads were much better than Songjiang. The first and second streets were very smooth. Of course, the small streets were not good. Even a developed city would have broken streets. According to Sun Jia's guidance, they soon found the home of six tastes. Yang Ming didn't expect that this small shop actually had so many guests. It wasn't mealtime yet, but the nearby area was full of cars. He didn't know who was so talented. They actually contracted a parking lot in this place. The home of six tastes wasn't very big. The parking space at the door was limited. The later cars could only be parked in the paid parking lot. "How is it? Is it very popular?" Sun Jia pointed to the cars in the parking lot and said, "You see, there are a lot of people who drive good cars here." Yang Ming looked up. Sure enough, there were a lot of BMWs and Mercedes-Benz. There were even sports cars like Porsches and Ferraris. Pay the parking fee. At this time, an old man wearing an armband came over and said to Yang Ming and Sun Jia, who were getting out of the car. "How much?" asked Yang Ming. 5 yuan if you want a ticket. 4 yuan if you don't want it, said the old man. 1 yuan, is that okay? Without waiting for Yang Ming to speak, Sun Jia spoke. "N." The old man was stunned and looked at Sun Jia. Then, his face showed an incredible expression. After a long time, he said, "Aren't you the girl from 6th high school?" "Oh, old man, you still remember me." Sun Jia naughtily stuck out her tongue and let Yang Ming see the third side of Sun Jia. "Motherfucker, is this girl a thousand-faced doll?" At first, Yang Ming saw the more erotic side of Sun Jia. Then, it was the more noble side of a lady. Now, it had become a pure and lovely little girl. How can I not remember? Over the years, only you two girls from 6th high school gave me 1 yuan. Even if others bargained, they only bargained up to 3 yuan. The old man smiled and shook his head. "Forget it. I haven't seen you for so many years. I don't want the parking fee." "Thank you, old man," Sun Jia said quickly. Hee, yes, did you and your little friend have an appointment? She just came over not long ago. She also bargained with me. It has been so many years. You haven't come over for a long time. The old man said with some emotion. The 2 little girls from that year came with their boyfriends. "Old man, you said that Xiao Axan came too." Sun Jia was happy and asked quickly. "Yeah, didn't you guys make an appointment?" The old man saw Sun Jia's surprised expression and shook his head. "That's really a coincidence. She just went to the home of 6 tastes. You can catch up with her if you walk 2 steps faster." "Thank you, old man," Sun Jia said sweetly. "What are you thanking me for?" The old man waved his hand. "You weren't very nice in the past. The old man was here looking after the car under the sun and wind, and you just gave him 1 yuan. Yang Ming also heard it. When Sun Jia and her classmate came here to eat, they gave the old man 1 yuan for parking every time. Do you think I was rich in the past? Sun Jia retorted. I was in school. My family controlled my finances very strictly. I only had 1,000 yuan of living expenses a month. 1,000 yuan is still not enough. Yang Ming opened his eyes wide. When I was in high school, I didn't even have 200 yuan a month. Chapter 650. I'm a girl, okay. I have to buy beautiful clothes, right? I also have to buy cosmetics, right? Sun Jia extended her fingers and calculated for Yang Ming. Apart from these, I have to eat at school every day at noon. On average, there isn't much money left. You drive when you go to school, and you say you're poor. Yang Ming listened to Sun Jia's calculation and thought that there wasn't much money left, but he still ridiculed her. Alto, okay. Sun Jia had a helpless expression. At that time, the subway hadn't been built yet. It wasn't very convenient for me to go to school every day. My dad bought me an Alto. Besides, we come here to eat almost every day. Isn't it too much of a loss to spend 5 yuan on parking fees a day? Well, you're right. Yang Ming was too lazy to argue with her. It was rare to see a rich girl like Sun Jia who only spent 1,000 yuan a month. When he was in high school, Wang Jitao's family background was far worse than Sun Jia's. His monthly pocket money was more than 1,000 yuan. During the conversation, the two people had walked into the home of six tastes. Sun Jie's eyes were sharp. She shouted at a young woman who was ordering not far away, Yang Xin. When the young woman turned around and saw Sun Jie, her face immediately showed a surprised expression. She quickly ran to Sun Jie and directly gave Sun Jie a big hug. "Little Jie, I missed you so much. When did you return to Donghai?" "Of course, I have to go home for Chinese New Year." Sun Jie smiled. "That's true." Yang Axian let go of Sun Jie and said, "Then why didn't you ask me to go out and play?" "Oh. I got it." When Yang Axian said this, her eyes suddenly turned to Yang Ming, and then she smiled slyly. "Little Jie, you're not good. You didn't even tell me that you had a boyfriend. You must be busy with your boyfriend these days." For Sun Jie's friend, Yang Ming naturally nodded politely and said, "Hello, my name is Yang Ming." "Not bad, you're quite handsome." Yang Axian sized up Yang Ming, then nodded and said, "My name is Yang Axian. I was Xiao Jie's best friend in high school." "Huh, we're from the same clan. We'll have to line up later. If you're younger than me, you'll have to call me elder sister." While Yang Ming was talking, he was also looking at Yang Axian. Looking at Yang Axian's dressing, it was obvious that she was also a little miss from a rich family. She had a cheerful personality and was not too scheming. She could be considered a good friend. As for his appearance, Yang Ming did not pay much attention to it. She was inferior to Sun Jie, but she was also a beauty. It was just that Yang Ming had too many beauties around him, so his standards were a little high. "Nice to meet you." Yang Ming nodded politely. "Then I'll call you Big Sister Axian. At least you know your place. I'm 1 year older than Xiao Jie." Yang Axian said proudly, "I don't have a younger brother at home. This time, I've taken in one." "That's great." Sun Jie smiled and patted Yang Axian. "You still haven't changed. When you were in school, you were already trying to take in a younger brother." "Yeah, I didn't succeed at that time. I didn't expect to take in your husband as a younger brother," said Yang Axian. "I heard that you came with someone else. Is it Wu Yunqing?" asked Sun Jie. "Who else could it be besides him?" Yang Axian said, "He's ordering over there. Let's eat together." "Okay, I was worried about not having a seat." Sun Jie nodded. Apparently, she was not unfamiliar with this person named Wu Yunqing. "Xiao Jie, you tell me. Did you two do that?" Yang Axian glanced at Yang Ming and then whispered to Sun Jie. However, what Yang Axian didn't know was that no matter how soft she was, it was useless to Yang Ming. Yang Ming could read lips. Hearing that she asked this question, Yang Ming couldn't interrupt, so he had to pretend that he didn't hear it. "Which one?" Sun Jie glanced at Yang Ming behind her. When she saw that he wasn't looking at her, she whispered, "Little pervert, you're not pure anymore. You must have done that with Wu Yunqing, right?" N. Yang Axian nodded shyly. "Then, did you?" "Don't lie." "No." Sun Jie was a little confused about her relationship with Yang Ming. What if we aren't together in the future? Therefore, Sun Jie certainly wouldn't admit anything. "I don't believe it. Look at your chest. It's a lot bigger." "It must be, caught by my brother, hee hee." Yang Axian smiled. Although the relationship between the two was the kind of close friends, Sun Jie couldn't help but be speechless after listening to Yang Axian's words. "I see that you, the Princess Taiping, have also grown a lot." "Oh, I was wondering how you know so much. It turns out that you have a deep understanding." "So what? You're not honest. Do you still want to deny it now?" said Yang Axian. Okay, you can think whatever you want, up to you. Sun Jia said helplessly. Yang Ming, who was behind, was sweating at the moment. It's too fierce. It's really perverted and violent, Wu Yunxing. Yang Axan waved to a young man not far away and said, You. Come here. After the young man heard it, he quickly put down the order menu in his hand, and then said something to the waiter next to him. He rushed over and smiled. Little Axan, what's wrong? Don't you see that little Jia is here too? What's wrong with your eyes? Yang Axan said as she glared at Wu Yunxing. Yang Ming couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. It could be seen that this Wu Yunxing loved Yang Axan very much. He only had Yang Axan in his eyes. He didn't care much about other things and directly ignored them. Sun Jia. I'm sorry. I didn't bring my contact lenses when I went out today. Wu Yunxing said with some embarrassment and found an excuse that wasn't very appropriate. However, Sun Jia also knew Wu Yunxing's temper, so she didn't bother with him. Your eyes are all about little Axan. Even if you wear contact lenses, you may not be able to see me, right? Hee hee. Wu Yunxing smiled a little awkwardly. Let me introduce you. This is my new brother, Yang Ming. Yang Axan introduced to Wu Yunxing. Then she said to Yang Ming, This is my boyfriend, Wu Yunxing. Hello, brother-in-law. Wu Yunxing quickly reached out and said. Pa. Wu Yunxing's hand was slapped away by Yang Axan. Who is your brother-in-law? Yang Ming, you don't have to care about him. Let's talk about our own matters. Ugh, hee hee. Wu Yunxing wasn't angry, but he was a little embarrassed. Yang Ming also saw that this Wu Yunxing was an honest person. In this era, such an honest man was rare. Especially looking at Wu Yunxing's dressing, he should be a master with a good family background. Hello, brother-in-law. Yang Ming smiled and grabbed Wu Yunxing's hand and shook it. Good. Wu Yunxing's face suddenly showed a very happy expression. It seemed that Yang Ming's call of brother-in-law made him very happy. Okay, Yunxing, today's meal is on you. You can't ask my brother to pay the bill, right? Said Yang Axan. Of course. Wu Yunxing said with a smile. He looked like a good person. With the addition of Yang Ming and Sun Jia, Wu Yunxing naturally ordered a few more dishes. Then he said to Yang Ming, What do you want to eat? You don't have to be polite with your brother-in-law. I haven't been here before. It's my first time here. You just have to decide. Said Yang Ming. Little Jia, we were willing to eat when we were in high school. I have ordered it. What else do you want to order? Asked Yang Axan. 4 people ordered 7 dishes. It's not a small amount. We can't eat more. Sun Jia said, These are enough. That's fine. If it's not enough, we can order more. Wu Yunxing said. The 4 people sat in their seats and waited for the waiter to serve the dishes. This restaurant looks more popular than before. Sun Jia looked at the restaurant full of guests and sighed. Yeah, I sometimes come here. Unlike you, who aren't in Donghai, I have witnessed the glorious process of this restaurant. Yang Axan nodded. Now there are no seats. If you want to eat, you have to leave your phone number, and then go outside to wait. After you leave a table, the waiter will call the waiting guests in order. Yang Ming looked at the scene here and secretly clicked his tongue. It's still noon. If it's evening, I don't know how long the queue will be. However, it was true that although there were many people here, the speed of the dishes being served wasn't slow. Perhaps this was the reason why this place had not declined for a long time. After sitting down for less than 10 minutes, 3 dishes had already been served. Come, brother. Try this stir-fried bamboo shoot. It was little Jia's and my favorite when we were in school. Yang Axian began to perform the sister's reprimand. Okay. Yang Ming quickly tasted it. The taste was really good. It was crisp and refreshing. He couldn't help but praise, "It's really good." As for Wu Yunqing, he just sat there with a simple and honest smile, but his eyes never left Yang Axian for a moment. Sun Jia and Yang Axian were chatting. It was obvious that the two people hadn't seen each other for a long time, and they had a lot to talk about. Chapter 651. Unknowingly, the dishes had been served, and half an hour had passed. Through the conversation, Yang Ming learned that Sun Jia, Yang Axian, and Wu Yunqing were all high school classmates. Wu Yunqing began to pursue Yang Axian since high school. He pursued her for 7 years and only caught up with her after graduating from college. This made Yang Ming admire Wu Yunqing's willpower. This guy is really indomitable. The family backgrounds of Yang Axian and Wu Yunqing were very prominent as Yang Ming expected. Yang Axian's family opened a freight station. There were branches all over the country, and the business was very big. In this era, those who opened this kind of thing had a deep underworld background. Therefore, Yang Axian and Sun Jia were similar. They belonged to the underworld princess gang. Few people dared to provoke them in school, but this infatuated Wu Yunqing pursued Yang Axian for N years. Sun Hongjun and Yang Axian's father also knew each other. Sun Hongjun took care of the Yang family's business in Donghai. Sun Hongjun had also helped to open up many connections in other cities. However, it was true that this Wu Yunqing's family background was not simple. Wu Yunqing's father was the political commissar of the Donghai military division, which was quite powerful in Donghai. It was just that this Wu Yunqing did not look like he came from a military family. He was really scholarly. The four people were chatting happily. At this moment, a man in his 30s came over. He had a big beard, wore a leather jacket, and a cap. He dressed like an artist. Just as the four people were stunned and did not know what this guy was going to do, the man handed over his business card and said, "Hello, please allow me to introduce myself. I am the director of Zhongqiu Film and Television Culture Development Company, Limited, Wang Qinzhen. I have the same name as the author of Journey to the West, Wu Qinzhen. Can I ask the names of the two beautiful ladies?" Yang Ming frowned and glanced at the business card on the table. There were a lot of titles on it, such as Chief Director, Artistic Director, Screenwriter, etc. However, in this era, business cards were printed casually. Even the garbage collector had a business card. Who knew if this guy was real or fake? Before Yang Ming spoke, Yang Axian laughed first. "Ha ha ha, why do you have the same name as the great eunuch of the Ming dynasty?" Wang Qinzhen was a little embarrassed, but he continued, "The name is just a code name. It's not important. Ladies, can you tell me your names? Didn't you say that the name is not important?" Yang Axian immediately said, "Since this is the case, why are you still asking? What the hell do you want? If you don't, we still have to eat." "Well, I'm the director of Zhongqiu Film and Television. I think the two of you have the potential to become big stars. What do you think?" Then, what about this lady?" Wang Qinzhen turned his head and looked at Yang Axian unwillingly. "Ladies, you should think about it carefully. The opportunity is fleeting." Wang Qinzhen patted his chest and swore, "I promise that with your outstanding appearance and temperament, you can enter Hollywood." "I say, are you crazy? Didn't you hear me ask you to leave?" Yang Ming was a little impatient. This guy's spittle is flying everywhere. If it gets into the dishes, how can we eat it? "Sir, I'm not talking to you," and don't you think you are very impolite now? I'm discussing something with the two ladies. Can you please not interfere in other people's affairs? Wang Qinzhen said reasonably. Obviously, he was a veteran in this field. He knew how to deal with the current situation. Yang Ming listened to Wang Qing'an's words and was suddenly amused. You are now standing in front of my table and talking, and my girlfriend has already made it very clear that she is not interested. What are you still standing here for? Sir, your approach is very selfish. You can't monopolize your girlfriend because of your personal selfishness. She can definitely go higher and further. Wang Qinzhen said with conviction. I'm already very good now, and I'm not interested in being a star. Sun Jia shook her head firmly this time and smiled. I appreciate your kindness, but we really don't want to be stars. Ladies, being a star is very profitable. You can earn millions in an ordinary year. You don't want to think about it. Wang Qinzhen didn't achieve his goal and was very regretful. He was instructed by the boss. These two women were personally favored by the boss. How could he not try to win them over? In fact, this so-called Zhongqiu Film and Television Culture Development Company, Limited was just a shell company. However, the boss of this company, Ouyang Junyuan, had a strong background. This company was just a means for him to pick up girls. In front of the dream of being a star, few girls could refuse, so Ouyang Junyuan, who was in the middle of the ball, had repeatedly succeeded. After getting the girl into bed, he looked for a relationship and then let her play a small role in a TV series. It wasn't considered breaking his promise. Ouyang Junyuan wasn't a native of Donghai, but he was from Province P. This time, he was just passing by in Donghai. However, when he saw Sun Jia's beautiful face and devilish figure, he couldn't help but have a big appetite. He wanted to make her his own sex slave. Therefore, he instructed his subordinate, Wang Qinzhen, to go and lobby. Are you done yet? If you don't leave, I will kick you. Yang Ming glared and was a little annoyed. Are you done yet? Wang Qinzhen didn't complete the task given by the boss. He was already in a bad mood. Moreover, what kind of person was his boss? In Province P, he was a character who walked sideways. Wang Qinzhen was immediately unhappy. He looked at Yang Ming and his gaze became sinister. Kid, are you talking to me? It turns out that you have bad hearing. Yang Ming said sarcastically. Can you say it again? Wang Qing'an's sincere expression just disappeared and said coldly. Do you think I will say it just because you asked me to? Okay, I don't want to waste time with you. Get out of here quickly. Yang Ming's hand had already grabbed the plate on the table. He was ready to smash this guy's head if he didn't leave. Although Wu Yunqing didn't speak, he also looked at Yang Xian nervously. He was just waiting for the person in front of him to do something bad. He would immediately rush up. You're good. Very good, I will remember. Wang Qinzhen sneered at Yang Ming and said. When he saw Yang Ming's hand was ready to move, he turned and left, but he said as he walked, you should be careful. Idiot. Yang Ming scolded and didn't take it seriously. Ha, little Jia, in Donghai, there is actually someone who dares to talk to you like this. After Wang Qinzhen left, Yang Xian said with a smile. It doesn't look like a local. You see, isn't it written on this business card from Province P? Sun Jia pointed to the business card left on the table and said. I say, he has such bad eyesight. Yang Xian snorted and said, he still dares to have ideas about our little Jia. He doesn't want to leave Donghai alive. Forget it, Yang Xian. He didn't do anything. Sun Jia shook her head and didn't intend to pursue it. However, if she didn't pursue it, would it really end like this? Obviously not. Brother, you were quite fierce just now. You are much better than your brother-in-law. Young Xan gave Yang Ming a thumbs up and said, you are bold enough. Unlike your brother-in-law, who can't do anything for a long time. Hee hee. Wu Yunxing wasn't angry. He still laughed after listening. Brother-in-law was very nervous just now. I saw that if that guy dared to do something bad to you, he would be the first to rush up, said Yang Ming. Yang Ming, I didn't see it. You are quite accurate in judging people. After Sun Jie heard it, she immediately said, you are really right. Don't look at Wu Yunxing, who is usually silent. If someone really dares to do something bad to little Xan, he will rush faster than anyone. Once when we went out to play, there were 3 little gangsters who wanted to molest us. As a result, Wu Yunxing fought against 3 of them. Are you serious? Brother-in-law, I didn't see that you are really fierce. Yang Ming patted Wu Yunxing's shoulder and praised. I learned fighting in the army when I was a child. Wu Yunxing said with some embarrassment. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Yang Ming said with emotion, Aw. Wu Yunxing heard it and opened his mouth wide. He didn't expect Yang Ming to dare to say this. Yang Xan laughed, ha 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 ha, brother, I didn't see it. You are really talented. It's okay, it's okay. Yang Xan was very happy. Not bad. You have the demeanor of an elder sister. If others didn't know, they might really think that we are siblings. Chapter 652. How about Jiduan City? Sun Hongjuan's eyes lit up. He immediately realized that if Guo Jinbiao died, then the territory of Jiduan City. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to expand outward. It's not clear yet. There is no news yet, said Tianlong. At this time, Jiduan City is leaderless. It must be quite chaotic. Can we take this opportunity to enter Jiduan City and occupy a place? Sun Hongjun said in a deep voice. Now, I just don't know if Bao Sanli did it intentionally or unintentionally. If they killed Guo Jinbiao on the spur of the moment, then it is likely that they are not prepared in Jiduan City. But if they have been planning for a long time, then they must have the idea of taking over Jiduan City. If we go again, the benefits we get should not be much. It is already good to split it in half. Tianlong analyzed. You are right. Sun Hongjun nodded. Always pay attention to the movements over there. Understood. Said Tianlong, hanging up the phone. Sun Hongjun fell into contemplation. Jiduan. Suddenly, he remembered what Yang Ming said before. One Songjiang is not enough. How about another Jiduan City? Could it be? Yang Ming received some news in advance. He actually knew it earlier than me. This seems a little strange. Sun Hongjun also faintly knew that the relationship between Yang Ming and Bao Sanli seemed to be good, but even if it was good, would Bao Sanli tell such a secret to Yang Ming? Moreover, looking at the situation, it happened last night, and Yang Ming came to Donghai this morning. Is it just a coincidence? Am I overthinking? Sun Hongjun shook his head. He couldn't understand, so he didn't think about it. Anyway, he would wait and see the development of Jiduan City. As he was contemplating, he saw his wife push the door and come in. Sun Hongjun doted on his wife very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not gone out to find another woman for so many years. After his wife gave birth to Sun Jie, she was infertile. Sun Hongjun didn't want to have another son, but out of his deep affection for his wife, he didn't do anything to hurt his wife. Sun Hongjun threw away the doubts in his heart, raised his head, and smiled at his wife. Why do you have time to come to my study room? Usually, you don't even come when we ask you to. AI, you dead old man, isn't it because of our family's Shao Jie? Sun's mother sighed and sat on the sofa in the study. Sun Hongjun also stood up from the boss chair behind the desk and sat next to his lover. He said softly, I am also doing this for our Shao Jie's lifelong happiness. How can we be careless about this? Hasty. What do you mean by sloppy? Sun's mother was a little unwilling after hearing this. I think Yang Ming is a pretty good child. Why are you so stubborn, old thing? I'm telling you, if you keep messing around, I'll divorce you. What? Divorce? Sun Hongjun was shocked. He quickly hugged his wife and said, Xiao Feng, what are you saying? How can you divorce me because of this? Am I not doing this for the good of my daughter? What good? Don't you see how old our family's Shao Jie is? Because she was injured back then, she has always been hostile to men. Moreover, it's not like you haven't heard the rumors outside, saying that our Shao Jie is. Forget it, now that Shao Jie is finally willing to have a boyfriend, you still have to care about this and that. Sun's mother was immediately unwilling. It's not that I care about this and that, but I have to find out the real thoughts of this Yang Ming, right? What if he is plotting for our family's business? When he gets the business, will he kick our family's Shao Jie away? Sun Hongjun said worriedly. Shao Jie isn't lacking anything. She is beautiful. There are many people pursuing our family's Shao Jie. If I were to say, even if Yang Ming has other intentions, he is also taking in both money and beauty. It has no effect on Shao Jie. Sun's mother said. That's hard to say. Our daughter is 26 this year. Yang Ming is only 20, right? After a few years, once Shao Jie is old, and her face is no longer beautiful, I'm afraid. Sun Hongjun smiled bitterly. Why do you think of people like this? Plotting for the family business, plotting for the family business. Sun's mother was a little angry. Well, Sun Hongjun, let me ask you. When you married me, were you plotting for my family business? Me? Of course, I wasn't. Sun Hongjun shook his head and said firmly, didn't I not take a single cent from your family? Moreover, your family business. Don't you need me to take care of it now? Speaking until here, Sun Hongjun couldn't help but feel proud. Decades of hard work in exchange for his transcendent status. From the initial nameless kid, he became the current person who could command the wind and clouds. That's now. At that time, I was also a rich young lady. What about you? You were just a worker who had just returned. Sun's mother said, don't you think about yourself? How did my father treat you? Wasn't it because my mother stood her ground and supported me? Otherwise, if you want to marry me, no way. Hee, that's because you're mother and you have a long-term vision. Can't I do it now? Sun Hongjun said lightly. Really? So, when you were troubled by my father, you felt unbalanced in your heart, so you turned around and troubled Yang Ming? Sun's mother changed the topic and said, you were just a small worker at that time. Yang Ming was at least better than you. He was a college student, and he even had his own company. Sun Hongjun was a little speechless by his lover's words. He lowered his head silently. Besides, how do you know that Yang Ming won't develop in the future? I think he doesn't care about your family background at all. His future achievements will be 100 times better than yours. Sun's mother continued to scold, just like how you thought you would succeed in the past. Okay. I don't care anymore, okay? Sun Hongjun was embarrassed. He remembered what happened in the past. Only then did he realize why his father-in-law didn't think highly of him at that time. Today, didn't he think of Yang Ming in the same way? However, although his lover's family ran a small company, their family background could only be said to be solid. It couldn't be compared to him now. Now that he had reached the height, it was difficult for anyone to surpass him. What kind of prestige and glory was it to be the underground emperor of a city? He didn't think that Yang Ming could surpass him, but he felt that at least Yang Ming had to have the ability to take over his position. Otherwise, when the family business was in his hands, it would gradually decline. Perhaps it would be better than handing it over to Sun Jiwei, but in the end, the Sun family would still decline. Thinking of this, Sun Hongjun couldn't help but envy the two boys in Tianlong's family. The eldest was sensible. Although the second son was a bit of a playboy like Sun Jiwei, he wasn't as naive as Sun Jiwei. At least, he was a martial arts fanatic. In the future, the eldest son would rule the underworld, and the second son would be an excellent vanguard. But looking at his own family, his daughter was very talented, but she was still a daughter after all. Hongjun, I know your worries, but I think that I, Jin Xiaofeng, have a good eye for people. Sun's mother said, I chose you in the past instead of Qin, who had a good family background at that time. Qin, what was his name? It was the young master of the Qin family. How was his family background at that time? It was better than my family, but now. Dong Hai doesn't hear about this person anymore, right? Why did I choose you and not choose him? I love you a little more, but the most important thing is that I think you are a person with drive. What about now? That is, hee. When it came to the past, Sun Hongjun was proud for no reason. So, I think Yang Ming is a good child. Sun's mother said, if you don't believe me, I will leave my words here today. At most, in 10 years, he will surpass you. 10 years. Really? Sun Hongjun didn't believe it. Maybe it's just nonsense. Sun's mother shook her head. If you don't believe it, you can wait and see. Well, I, an old man, have no problem living for another 10 years. I can also manage the Sun family's affairs for another 10 years. Sun Hongjun said, from now on, I won't say much. I will see if this Yang Ming can do something in 10 years. Hee, it's up to you. This time, Sun's mother didn't object because this was enough. When Yang Ming comes to our house for dinner in the evening, you should be more enthusiastic. Okay. Sun Hongjun nodded. In a while, I will ask old San to buy some food and prepare it. That's a good boy. Sun's mother patted Sun Hongjun's face and said, I will reward you tonight, haha. Sun Hongjun laughed happily like a child. In fact, Sun's mother still underestimated Yang Ming's strength. Yang Ming's current achievements had already surpassed Sun Hongjun by 100 times or even 1,000 times. If Yang Ming's previous special abilities were purely obtained by luck, this operation in Jiduan City was entirely based on Yang Ming's own efforts. Li Chang and these people were the elites that he brought up. Chapter 653. A person's success was inseparable from hard work, but the most important thing was luck. Time and fate. This was just like the past rebellion and becoming an emperor. If it was a peaceful time, no matter how hard you tried, it would be in vain. But in troubled times, maybe a straw sandal seller or a beggar could become an emperor. It was true that Yang Ming's initial success was entirely based on luck, but it was also separated from his benevolence. If he didn't drive away the two little punks, Zhang Yuliang and Huang Mao, the old man who set up the street stall wouldn't have given him a pair of magical glasses. If he didn't help Fang Tian, he wouldn't have learned his current martial arts. But a person couldn't just rely on luck, and Yang Ming also knew this. He worked hard to learn skills from Fang Tian and began to train his own team. The greater the power, the greater the responsibility. Although this sentence didn't sound very nice, it was the truth. Sometimes, you don't want to do something, but the situation forces you to. You really have no choice but to do it. Take the incident in Jiduan City as an example. Yang Ming had always been in the principle of not offending others if others didn't offend him. If Guo Jinbiao could restrain himself a little, Yang Ming really didn't mean to touch him. Meeting people like Li Chang was purely an accident. Yang Ming didn't intend to form this super force, but things had come to this point. Yang Ming also accepted these people. But he didn't expect that it really came in handy. For example, Wang Qinzhen, whom he met today, Yang Ming had always treated him as a joke. He didn't want to do anything to him. However, some people just don't know what's good for them. If you don't find trouble with them, they will think that you are a soft persimmon, and they will come over to pinch you. Wang Qinzhen was deflated and returned to his seat with a face of anger. Usually, he was always successful. How many ignorant girls were deceived into the boss's bed under his lotus tongue? What happened? Ouyang Junyuan also saw that Wang Qinzhen was deflated, so he frowned and asked. Those two women didn't buy it. They didn't want to be celebrities. Wang Qinzhen said angrily. Oh. In this day and age, was there anyone who didn't want to be famous? Others sharpened their heads to participate in those Superboy and Supergirl competitions. Ouyang Junyuan said with some disbelief. The key is that the man beside them is rather annoying. He always interferes with their thoughts and even rudely tells me to leave. Wang Qinzhen naturally blamed his failure on Yang Ming. They don't look like rich people. Ouyang Junyuan looked at Yang Ming and his group. Because it was the new year, Sun Jia wasn't dressed so formally. She was dressed casually. As for Yang Ming, he was more of a casual person. It was impossible for him to wear a suit. Therefore, he was also dressed in sportswear. And Yang Xian's dressing was even more unconventional. She looked like a non-mainstream person. The value of the clothes on her body could not be seen at all. As for Wu Yunxing, in order to match Yang Xian's outfit, it was really a bit difficult for him to look gentle. He also dressed like a sunny big boy. Therefore, in the eyes of Ouyang Junyuan, he subconsciously regarded the four of them as college students. Boss Ouyang, you can rest assured. Leave this matter to me. Wang Qinzhen patted his chest and said, this kind of thing has happened before. Weren't the two high school girls unwilling before? Hee, when they took the XX video, wouldn't they be obedient? But, the two men were next to them. It wasn't easy to do it. Ouyang Junyuan wasn't a good person. This kind of thing wasn't done just once or twice. Therefore, what he was considering now wasn't whether this matter would cause any consequences, but how to do it. Isn't this easy to handle? Wang Qing'an's eyes turned, and he came up with a dirty trick. In a while, find a few people to trouble them. In this way, when the two women are alone, we will have a chance to do it. All right, let's do it. Ouyang Junyuan said casually. He didn't care about the consequences of doing so. Because he didn't have to worry about the consequences. It was no exaggeration to say that the Ouyang family in Province P was one of the top families in the country. They controlled the entire underworld of Province P. Moreover, it was said that the Hawkeye group in Russia, which was an assassin group, was secretly supported by the Ouyang family. Although the Hawkeye group was only a small organization in Russia, and it wasn't even ranked in the world, it should be known that it was an assassin. Over the years, the Ouyang family was able to unify the underworld of Province P because of the Hawkeye group's contributions. They assassinated all the gang leaders who didn't obey them. As for those gang leaders who were not assassinated, they were also frightened and succumbed to the Ouyang family's obscene power. If these small gangs were to join forces and fight a real battle with the Ouyang family, they might not necessarily lose. But the actual situation wasn't the case at all. As long as the gang leader didn't obey, he would die an unnatural death the next day. Who would be able to bear this? In order to save their lives, they all bowed to the Ouyang family. Ouyang Junyuan was the second young master of the Ouyang family. Although he was also a young master, there was an additional second in front of the title, so it was a lot weaker. This word also doomed Ouyang Junyuan to be unable to be in power in the Ouyang family for a lifetime. Who let me be born 2 years later? Now, part of the Ouyang family's affairs had been handed over to the eldest brother, Ouyang Junwei. Although some insignificant things were handed over to Ouyang Junyuan, Ouyang Junyuan simply gave up and didn't fight for the position of the family master. Relying on the name of the Ouyang family, he did whatever he wanted outside. He set up a fake film and television company and harmed girls everywhere. Ouyang Junwei naturally knew his younger brother's character, but he hoped that his younger brother would not compete with him for power. So, whatever Ouyang Junyuan wanted to do, Ouyang Junwei would let him do it. If something happened, Ouyang Junwei would also wipe his butt. Over the years, the relationship between the brothers had eased a lot, and the two cooperated very well. Although there were also victims who went to report, what awaited them was the crazy revenge of the Ouyang family, so the victims didn't dare to report at all. Who doesn't have a family? It's fine to sacrifice yourself, but don't ruin your family. What's more, Ouyang Junyuan was also generous. The girls who were played by him could also get a sum of money. Those who were served well could also play a small role in TV with Ouyang Junyuan's relationship. It was also considered to be a celebrity. Therefore, Ouyang Junyuan had always been unscrupulous when he did things. There were many guests waiting in line at the House of Six Tastes. After Yang Ming and a few others finished eating, they got up and paid the bill and left. Although the waiter wouldn't drive you away if you occupied the table to chat, it was somewhat unethical. After all, many people were waiting outside with hungry stomachs. After Yang Ming and a few others got up and left, Wang Qinzhen and Ouyang Junyuan also walked out. Wang Qinzhen took out his mobile phone and made a call. "Ah, I'm Wang Qinzhen." Wang Qinzhen said, "I heard that you are doing well in Donghai." "Oh. It's Director Wang." She picked up the phone and smiled. "How do you have time to call me?" "Well, I came here with the boss to do something. In the end, there is something I want to ask you." For help," said Wang Qinzhen. "Oh. You mean young Master Ouyang is here too?" She asked, "What is it that can trouble young Master Ouyang?" There is a saying that a strong dragon can't suppress a local snake. You, are the local snake here. Naturally, I have to ask you for help." Wang Qinzhen smiled. "In this case, if there is anything, just say it. Let's see if I can do it." She's heart moved. "If I can get in touch with young Master Ouyang, then I might have a chance to develop." Nowadays, in Donghai, it was getting more and more difficult to survive. Shi's gang could only operate in a very small area now, and he couldn't collect protection fees at will. The amount of money collected was set by the Sun family. It couldn't be more or less, and part of it had to be handed over to the Sun family. Therefore, she was greatly restrained. If this continued, it would be difficult to support a gang. Yes, she was actually the boss of the Four Snakes gang, Brother Snake. He and Wang Qinzhen were elementary school classmates, and the relationship between the two was good. In the past few years, Wang Qinzhen had mixed well with the Ouyang's second young master, and she had a closer relationship with him. Although she also knew that the Ouyang's second young master didn't have power in the Ouyang family, it didn't matter. At least, if the Ouyang's second young master said a word, then he could still have a place to stay in Province P. It was definitely better than the current situation. She was now in a difficult situation. With such a big gang, if it continued like this, he couldn't even support his brothers. A while ago, he was thinking about cooperating with Wu Qiren to cheat some money, but he didn't expect Yang Ming, this evil star, to come to his door. She was almost scared to death. Chapter 654. Now that there was a good opportunity to get close to the Ouyang family, she naturally didn't want to miss it. This is the case. You know, our boss Ouyang has a film and television company, and then he took a fancy to 2 female students. Wang Qinzhen briefly explained the matter. It turned out to be like this. She thought about it. This matter doesn't seem complicated. I just need to find some trouble and send the 2 men away. This kind of thing should be easy to do. So, he promised, well, I will bring people over now. And, just near the home of 6 tastes. Call me after you come, said Wang Qinzhen. In fact, Brother Snake could just send a few underlings to solve this kind of thing, but in order to please the Ouyang's second young master, Brother Snake was going to do it personally to show how much he valued this matter. However, it was also fortunate that Brother Snake went in person. Otherwise, Brother Snake might regret it for the rest of his life. Although he shouldn't have gone to this matter, at least he could still remedy it if he went in person. If his underling went and offended those great gods, Brother Snake would really have to hang himself. Yang Ming and the others went out of the home of 6 tastes, but they didn't drive away directly. After all, Sun Jia and Yang Xayan hadn't seen each other for a long time. The 2 good friends wanted to go to their alma mater. Wu Yunxing naturally agreed. Yang Ming had nothing to do anyway. Since Sun Jia and Yang Xayan wanted to go to their alma mater, 6th high school, he would follow them. Fuck. It turns out to be the students of 6th high school. Wang Qinzhen saw Yang Ming and the others walk into the campus of 6th high school and said disdainfully. It didn't take long for Brother Snake to rush over with 6 underlings. When he saw Wang Qinzhen, he quickly said, Director Wang, let me introduce you. This is Boss Ouyang. Wang Qinzhen quickly introduced the man next to Brother Snake. Young Master Ouyang. Brother Snake immediately nodded and bowed. Ouyang Junyuan nodded and snorted. Did you see the 4 people on the playground over there? Brother Snake raised his head and looked in the direction that Ouyang Junyuan said. Sure enough, he saw 2 men and 2 women talking near the parallel bars, so he nodded and said, no problem. Should we go and find some trouble to deal with the 2 men? It's up to you whether you want to beat them up or take them away. In short, just leave those 2 girls alone. Wang Qinzhen said. Okay. Brother Snake waved his hand and said to the underlings behind him, let's go. It's time to work. Little brother, now you know why Xiao Jia's breasts are so big, right? Yang Xayan pointed to Sun Jia, who was doing pull-ups on the horizontal bar next to her, and then whispered to Yang Ming next to her. So that's how it is. I thought she drank too much papaya soup. Yang Xayan was talkative, but Yang Ming was even more talkative than her. The 2 of them really hit it off. Wu Yunqing's head was full of black lines. Listening to the fierce conversation between the siblings, he felt his face turn red. My girlfriend, how can you talk about this kind of topic? But it can't be helped. Who asked me to like her? If I love a person, I have to love everything about her. Therefore, Wu Yunxing could only try to change himself. Just as Wu Yunxing was contemplating, suddenly an inappropriate voice came over. Hey, that dumbass guy, what are you looking at? Wu Yunxing looked up with some astonishment and looked at a few young people dressed like punks in front of him. He looked around in surprise, then pointed to himself and said, You are talking about me? Nonsense, besides you, who else is a dumbass? One of Brother Snake's underlings pointed to Wu Yunxing and shouted, "I am a dumbass." Wu Yunxing was somewhat inexplicable. "Do you know me?" "Fuck, it's you. Kid, do you know that you have offended someone?" Brother Snake's underlings shouted loudly. Wu Yunqing's character was more easygoing. He looked at the people in front of him, touched his chin and said, "Are you sure, it's me? Don't talk nonsense." Brother Snake waved his hand and said, "It's you. Catch this kid." Yang Ming and Yang Axian were whispering about Sun Jie's chest. Suddenly, they heard a scolding sound coming from behind them, so they turned around and saw a group of punks looking for trouble with Wu Yunxing. When she heard someone scolding Wu Yunxing as a dumbass, Yang Axian was immediately unwilling. "Who are you? Are you sick?" Brother Snake didn't know Wu Yunxing, nor did he know Yang Axian, but he knew Yang Ming. Although Yang Ming did not speak, Brother Snake's memory of him was still fresh. This was his own nightmare. How could he not recognize him? Brother Snake was dumbfounded. He couldn't wait to slap himself. It's really an unlucky year. I actually came to find trouble with him. Isn't that purely looking for death? Seeing that Yang Ming was staring at him coldly, Brother Snake's legs trembled, and he almost knelt on the ground. In an instant, Brother Snake regretted a lot. Fuck second young Master Ouyang. If I offend him, at most, I will lose my face. But if I offend this person in front of me, I have to die tonight. Brother Snake was about to open his mouth to say something, but he suddenly saw Sun Jie coming this way. Oh my god. Brother Snake really had the heart to commit suicide this time. The Miss of the Sun family is actually here. What the fuck is going on? You can't play with me like this, right? Even if you want to commit suicide, you can't commit suicide like this. Brother Snake completely collapsed this time. He just wanted to beg for mercy, but he suddenly remembered that Yang Ming didn't want him to mention his identity, so he quickly stopped and turned to Sun Jie to beg for mercy. "That kid, you come over too." Brother Snake's underlings didn't know Yang Ming. When they saw Yang Ming turn around, they immediately pointed to Yang Ming and shouted, "I'm talking about you. Hurry up. Don't fucking dawdle." Brother Snake's heart suddenly trembled. Motherfucker, are you serious? What the fuck is going on? Do you want to kill me? Brother Snake was so angry that he directly raised his hand and slapped his underling. He scolded, "What are you doing? Are you blind? Hurry up and leave." The underling was inexplicably slapped. He covered his face that was like a steamed bun and retreated to the side with grievance, but he didn't dare to have any objection. "Miss Sun. I'm sorry. This is a misunderstanding. We will leave immediately." Brother Snake's words were somewhat incoherent. It couldn't be helped. Who asked Yang Ming to stand in front of him? Compared to Sun Jie, Brother Snake was more afraid of Yang Ming. This guy was the master who killed without blinking, and his means were extremely fierce. "Get lost." Yang Ming, who didn't speak for a long time, said a word coldly. Brother Snake was like being granted amnesty. He took a group of underlings and disappeared instantly. What happened? Sun Jie glanced at Brother Snake, who was running away, and then asked Yang Ming. "I don't know." Yang Ming shook his head, but his eyes were staring at the direction of Brother Snake's escape thoughtfully. It turned out to be them. Yang Ming secretly remembered what he saw in his heart. He planned to find trouble with Brother Snake at night. In Yang Ming's view, this kid was asking for a beating. They said that I was an idiot as soon as they came up, which made me inexplicable. Wu Yunxing smiled bitterly. They scolded you. Why didn't you talk back? Yang Axian was a little annoyed. They saw that you were honest and easy to bully. Maybe they wanted to rob some money from you. It shouldn't be. Sun Jia shook her head. I know the leader. He is the boss of the Four Snakes gang, Cobra. He brought his underlings out to rob money. It sounds unlikely. Oh. No wonder he ran away after seeing you. Young Axan smiled and said, Miss Sun still has face. Sun Jia didn't say anything. Obviously, she also began to doubt the true purpose of Brother Snake. But she didn't have Yang Ming's 1,000-mile X-ray vision. She couldn't see where Brother Snake went after he disappeared. However, what was certain was that Brother Snake wasn't looking for trouble, because he didn't know that Yang Ming was here. In other words, Brother Snake didn't know that the person he was looking for trouble with was Yang Ming. What happened to you? Seeing Brother Snake run back in a daze, Wang Qinzhen was a little unhappy. Why are you back? Director Wang, young Master Ouyang, I'm sorry. I can't help with this. Brother Snake shook his head and said. What do you mean? Wang Qinzhen frowned. What the hell is going on? That woman is Sun Hongjuan's daughter. Do I dare to move? Brother Snake said, Director Wang, it's not that I don't want to give you face, but my ability is limited. I really can't go against them. Sun Hongjun. Who is he? Ouyang Junyuan asked with some disdain. Boss, Sun Hongjun is the boss of Donghai. Wang Qinzhen said quickly. Donghai's boss. He is just a small leader in a city. What is there to be afraid of? Ouyang Junyuan snorted and didn't put Sun Hongjun in his eyes. It was no wonder. In Province P, a small leader in a city was really nothing to him. Chapter 655. Brother Snake was too lazy to talk to them. Now, he wasn't afraid of Sun Hongjun. Even if he offended Sun Jia, it was nothing. If Sun Hongjun knew about it, he would ask him to apologize at most. But the person he offended now was Yang Ming. If that guy wanted to kill someone, no one could stop him. Brother Snake didn't want to put his life in danger. Looking at Ouyang Junyuan's arrogant appearance, Brother Snake wasn't going to remind him. For this kind of guy, it was useless to remind him. Instead, he would think that he was timid. If this is the case, then you can do it. Do as you please. If you are killed by Yang Ming, then it is not something I can control. What kind of friend is this? Ouyang Junyuan frowned. A timid guy. Forget it. Don't make it difficult for him. After all, he has to make a living in this place. Wang Qinzhen sighed. He also understood Brother Snake's difficulties. Then don't bother with him. I say, Wang Qinzhen, this method won't work. What should we do next? Ouyang Junyuan's interest in Sun Jia was obviously quite big. He didn't take Sun Jia's father seriously. Boss Ouyang, I think we should just forget about this. After all, Sun Hongjun is the boss here. Let's provoke his daughter. This seems a bit inappropriate. Wang Qinzhen hesitated. What's inappropriate? Ouyang Junyuan said, he's just the boss of a city. What are you afraid of? When we were in Province P, if I favored the daughter of the boss, they would be happy. But that is Province P, and this is Donghai. It's not our territory. Wang Qinzhen reminded him. That's true. Ouyang Junyuan nodded. Wang Qinzhen, aren't you very clever? Isn't there a better way? There is, but... Boss Ouyang, you have to condescend. Said Wang Qinzhen. Let me hear it. Ouyang Junyuan waved and said. This is the case. Why don't we visit Sun Hongjun directly in the evening and say that young master is interested in his daughter and wants to take her back to Province P. What do you think of this idea? Wang Qinzhen suggested. But I haven't played enough. I don't want to get married. Although Wang Qinzhen was very covetous of Sun Jie's beauty, he didn't want to die because of a tree. Boss Ouyang, think about it. Once we return to Province P, it will be our territory. You can do whatever you want. She's the daughter of a rich family here, but she's nothing in Province P, Wang Qinzhen said. Ha! Well said. Ouyang Junyuan nodded after listening. Okay, that's settled. Go and find out where Sun Hongjun lives. We'll visit him tonight. Ouyang Junyuan was really arrogant. It was also because he had not suffered a little setback. In Province P, it could be said that he could call the wind and summon the rain. Because there was no conflict of interest with his brother, his elder brother, Ouyang Junwei, also took care of his younger brother. Coincidentally, in the evening, Wu Yunxing also had to visit Yang Xian's house, so the four of them simply strolled around and parted ways. Do you know that brother Snake? On the way back, Sun Jie suddenly asked Yang Ming. N. Yang Ming was stunned, but he didn't hide it. How did you know? I saw it. Sun Jie said, he seemed to be very scared when he looked at you. He was more scared than when he looked at me. Yang Ming looked at Sun Jie and had a kind of awe from the bottom of his heart. Sun Jie's insight was so sharp. At that time, such a small detail was clearly seen by her. So he said, at that time, when Bao Sanli and Yu Xiangde were fighting for territory, this guy was beaten by me. Maybe he was traumatized. Fighting for territory, did you participate? Sun Jie stared at Yang Ming and wanted to see something from Yang Ming's face. Is there a problem? Asked Yang Ming. No. Sun Jie said faintly, Yang Ming, you seem to be hiding a lot of things from me. Ha! Yang Ming suddenly smiled. It's funny. I'm hiding it from you. What is the relationship between us? If I tell you everything, can you keep it a secret for me? You're not my wife. I'm not so stupid. That's true. Sun Jie wasn't angry. Instead, she nodded and said, then wait until the day I fall in love with you, then you can tell me. It had to be said that Sun Jie was a special woman. Her logic made it difficult for Yang Ming to adapt to. TSK. What's the use of falling in love with me? You have to make me fall in love with you. Yang Ming said as he snorted. I think you already have this tendency now. Sun Jie said straightforwardly, although you don't need to change gears in an automatic car, you don't have to always put your hand on my leg. AI. You're still in the mood. Where are you touching? You still want to pinch. Yang Ming pretended to ignore Sun Jie's complaints directly. Sun Jie clamped her legs tightly and didn't let Yang Ming's hand move again. She said angrily, Yang Ming, the more you act like this, the more annoying I find you. Don't you think this is very dirty and vulgar? Yang Ming pulled back his hand bitterly. He didn't expect that his actions would cause Sun Jie to be disgusted. However, Yang Ming had always been strong. Although he pulled back his hand, he didn't say much. Seeing that Yang Ming didn't speak for a long time, Sun Jie was a little curious. What's wrong? Are you angry? Yang Ming was speechless. Are you a man? Why are you so petty? Sun Jie looked at Yang Ming with some surprise. This guy doesn't seem to be a petty person. Yang Ming continued to be speechless. Forget it. How about I let you touch it? But you can't touch the bottom. It's a little uncomfortable. Why don't you touch the top? Sun Jie teased Yang Ming. Okay. Yang Ming didn't think about it and replied directly. There was no unhappiness on his face. This time, it was Sun Jie's turn to be speechless. She stared at Yang Ming. She was angry. I was actually fooled by Yang Ming. Yang Ming said so, but his hands didn't do anything. He wasn't a lecherous person. The reason why he touched Sun Jie's thigh and a special part was just to flirt with Sun Jie, but he didn't expect to cause Sun Jie to be disgusted. Therefore, Yang Ming just said it verbally this time and didn't do anything. When he returned to Sun Jie's home, Yang Ming felt some changes from Sun Hongjun. Obviously, Sun Hongjun's attitude toward him was much better than before, and he didn't mention the previous things. Little Yang, come. The meal is ready. You and little Jia go and wash your hands. Come and eat directly. Sun Jie's mother said very warmly. Yang Ming and Sun Jie returned to their previous intimate state. Although Sun Jie was quite critical of Yang Ming's small actions, she silently endured it. In front of the family, she was originally Yang Ming's girlfriend. If the two people were too distant, then there would be a problem. The dishes in the evening were very sumptuous. People in Sun Hongjun's position rarely entertained guests at home, but Yang Ming wasn't a guest, so this meal should be regarded as a family feast. At the table, only Yang Ming, Sun Jie, Sun Hongjun, and Sun Jie's mother were there. Sun San didn't participate. Sun Hongjun and Sun Jie's mother sat in the main seat, and Yang Ming and Sun Jie sat on both sides. Little Yang, come and taste Auntie's cooking. Sun Jie's mother had basically recognized Yang Ming's position in the family, so she didn't hide her kindness to Yang Ming. Thank you. Yang Ming said quickly, and then he began to help Sun Jie. Sun Jie's mother saw it in her eyes and was very happy. Sun Jie mouthed to Yang Ming, "You're really good at acting." Yang Ming smiled and didn't mind. The atmosphere was harmonious, and Sun San suddenly came over. Master, there is a person outside who claims to be from the Ouyang family of Province P. He wants to see you. Ouyang family of Province P. Sun Hongjun was stunned and then said, "Why are they here at this time? Did they say what they want?" "They said that they have something to do with you, Master. They want to see you as soon as possible," said Sun San. If it were someone else, Sun San would definitely have sent them away directly. Nonsense, is Sun Hongjun someone you can see whenever you want? Not to mention that he is now accompanying his future son-in-law's family to eat. But the Ouyang family of Province P made Sun San have to pay attention. Sun San naturally knew what the Ouyang family of Province P did. It could be said that the Ouyang family was the underworld emperor of the entire Province P, and Sun Hongjun only controlled Donghai City. Compared with the Ouyang family, it was simply insignificant. However, although Province P was a neighboring province, it had no intersection with the Sun family. At this time, the people of the Ouyang family came to see Sun Hongjun. What would happen? Sun Hongjun hesitated and then said, "Let them come in and wait for me in the living room. I will go out soon." Chapter 656. After Sun Hongjun put down the bowl and chopsticks in his hand, he said to Yang Ming, "I'll go out for a while. You guys eat first." This young Master Ouyang could actually make Sun Hongjun go out to meet him during dinner. Naturally, he wasn't an ordinary person, so Yang Ming curiously used his special ability to look at the situation outside. When he saw the so-called young Master Ouyang at the door, Yang Ming couldn't help but frown. How could it be this guy? Yes, the person Yang Ming saw was Wang Qinzhen. The man next to him was obviously young Master Ouyang. These two people, Yang Ming had seen them in the afternoon when he was at 6th high school. Brother Snake was called by these two guys. As a result, the things that he didn't understand were now very clear. Brother Snake had no conflict with these people. He was just called by Wang Qinzhen or young Master Ouyang to vent his anger, but Brother Snake didn't expect that Sun Jie and he were actually here. Therefore, not only did he not vent his anger, but he ran away in fear. After Brother Snake ran away, he must have told young Master Ouyang and Wang Qinzhen about Sun Jie's identity. Therefore, these two people came here in the evening. If there was no accident, these two people must have come for Sun Jie. What made Yang Ming feel a little strange was that this young Master Ouyang seemed to have a strong background. He actually dared to come to Sun Hongjuan's place to look for someone. Yang Ming's current identity was Sun Jie's boyfriend, so when this kind of thing happened, it was natural that he shouldn't sit idly by. So, he stood up and smiled. "Uncle Sun, I will go out with you." Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming in surprise. He didn't understand why Yang Ming would make this request, but he hesitated and nodded in agreement. In any case, Yang Ming was a candidate that he cultivated. It was good to let him see the scene, so he said, "Okay, then you go with me, but don't talk nonsense." Yang Ming smiled and nodded, "Uncle Sun, don't worry." Yang Ming thought to himself, if this young Master Ouyang and Wang Qinzhen still have some self-awareness, then I naturally won't speak carelessly. Otherwise, it won't be a matter of speaking carelessly. Then, I will directly make a move. Yang Ming followed Sun Hongjun to the living room. Young Master Ouyang and Wang Qinzhen were already waiting there. "Two esteemed guests, please excuse me for not going out to welcome you." Sun Hongjun said politely before instructing the servants, serve tea to the two guests. "Boss Sun, I have heard a lot about you." Wang Qinzhen got up and said, "This is the second young master of the Ouyang family in Province P, Ouyang Junyuan. Hello. Welcome, welcome." When Sun Hongjun heard that it was the second young master of the Ouyang family, his tone immediately became polite. After all, he was a member of the Ouyang family, and he couldn't offend him casually. "Yes." Ouyang Junyuan nodded slightly with an arrogant expression. He didn't even stand up. Sun Hongjun looked at Ouyang Junyuan's performance. He couldn't help but frown secretly. Isn't this Ouyang Junyuan too arrogant? Even if your family is powerful in Province P, this is Donghai. It's not Province P, it's not your territory. Don't you know the principle of when in Rome, do as the Romans do? Aren't you looking down on me too much? At the moment, Sun Hongjun was also a little angry, but after all, he was a veteran. His face didn't show anything. He just calmly sat on the opposite sofa with Yang Ming. Then, he said, "I don't know why you two came from afar to find me. We didn't come here specifically to find you." Ouyang Junyuan immediately waved his hand arrogantly after listening. What a joke. What kind of identity do I have? Even if I'm not the successor of the Ouyang family, I'm still the second young master of the Ouyang family. In Province P, if I want to meet the city bosses, wouldn't they come to find me with just a word? There's no need for me to visit them personally. Therefore, Sun Hongjuan's words made Ouyang Junyuan feel that he lost face. Wang Qinzhen wasn't as arrogant as Ouyang Junyuan. After all, he was a person who fought from the bottom of society. He knew more about the ways of the world than Ouyang Junyuan. The original Ouyang Junyuan could summon the wind and summon the rain. No one dared to not give him face. It was very simple because it was in Province P. Province P was the territory of the Ouyang family. But now the situation was different. Regardless of Sun Hongjuan's status, this was Donghai, not Province P. Therefore, Ouyang Junyuan's words were a bit outrageous. When Ouyang Junyuan said this sentence, Wang Qinzhen realized that the atmosphere was a bit bad. Sure enough, he saw Sun Hongjuan's face suddenly sink. He said coldly, "In this case, if there is nothing, then you two can leave. I'm still having dinner with the guests." There is something. Ouyang Junyuan didn't realize that his attitude had caused Sun Hongjuan's disgust. However, even if he knew, so what? So what if he was disgusted? He was Ouyang Junyuan, the second young master of the Ouyang family. He had never cared about the feelings of others. What is it? Please say it. Sun Hongjun said patiently. After all, the other party was a member of the Ouyang family. He couldn't neglect. Little Wang, you should say it. Ouyang Junyuan felt that it was better to let Wang Qinzhen come forward. Okay, I will say it. Wang Qinzhen was really afraid that Ouyang Junyuan would speak too straightforwardly and ruin things. This is the case. Boss Sun, I heard that you have a daughter named Sun Jie. Yes. I don't know how my daughter offended both of you. Sun Hongjun asked with some doubts. After all, Ouyang Junyuan's arrogant attitude made it seem like he was denouncing Yang Ming. That's not it. Actually, Wang Qinzhen just opened his mouth and was interrupted. She didn't offend me, but this kid. Ouyang Junyuan suddenly interrupted. What is he doing? Sun Hongjun frowned. This Ouyang Junyuan was too arrogant. This was his own home, not their province P. He said with some displeasure, this is my daughter's boyfriend, Yang Ming. I don't know how he offended the second young master of the Ouyang family. We want to. Ouyang Junyuan wanted to talk about how he invited Sun Jia to be a star and was obstructed by Yang Ming. When Wang Qinzhen saw that it wasn't good, he quickly stopped him. This is the case. Our young master Ouyang is interested in your daughter. I'm here to matchmake. My young master wants to bring Sun Jia back to Province P. At this moment, Yang Ming's face immediately turned cold. Isn't it obvious that he doesn't take me seriously? I'm sitting here, and Sun Hongjun has already introduced me as Sun Jia's boyfriend. This guy actually wants to bring Sun Jia back to Province P. Yang Ming's patience was limited, and he was about to get angry. However, this was Sun Hongjun's home. Sun Hongjun was an elder, and he hadn't spoken yet. Yang Ming couldn't be too rash. After Sun Hongjun listened to Wang Qingen's words, he looked at Wang Qinzhen with interest and looked at Ouyang Junyuan. Then he smiled and said, did my daughter agree to go back with you? Hee, as long as you agree to this, isn't it fine? Wang Qinzhen smiled and said, look, you and the Ouyang family are well matched in terms of social status. Both of you are the kings of the underworld. When your daughter marries our second young master Ouyang in the future, it will be a strong alliance. Strong alliance. Bullshit. Let's not talk about how far the Ouyang family was from Donghai. Take this second young master of the Ouyang family as an example. He wasn't the master of power at home. Sun Hongjun had also heard a little about his dirty deeds. He was completely a prodigal son. Such a person was purely a prodigal son. Want my daughter to marry him? That was impossible. Sun Hongjun was about to refuse, but he heard Ouyang Junyuan say, little Wang, don't talk nonsense. Who wants to marry her? Didn't my father already arrange a marriage for me? Hee, I heard that the girl in that family is very beautiful. Hee. I feel good just thinking about it. Wang Qinzhen immediately thought that it wasn't good. His face was full of black lines. How can you say this kind of thing? Old San, send the guest out. Sun Hongjun resisted the urge to curse. He waved his hand and said coldly. Wait. Yang Ming couldn't help it. He suddenly reached out and stopped Sun San's action. Then he stood up and went straight to Ouyang Junyuan. Damn, what are you doing? Ouyang Junyuan looked at Yang Ming and didn't put him in his eyes at all. You want to take my wife to Province P as soon as you come here. You don't put me in your eyes, right? Yang Ming looked at Ouyang Junyuan and sneered. What the fuck are you? Is it your turn to speak here? Wang Qinzhen was a little afraid of Sun Hongjun, but he wasn't afraid of Yang Ming. He thought that Yang Ming didn't have any ability. He just wanted to climb up the Sun family's power. He also saw Yang Ming's performance this afternoon. If Yang Ming was really a character, then Brother Snake would definitely tell him. How would he know that Brother Snake didn't want to care about this at all? And it wasn't that he didn't want to tell, but Yang Ming was too terrifying. He didn't dare to tell. Chapter 657. Get lost. This is none of your business. Yang Ming raised his leg and kicked at Wang Qinzhen. Wang Qinzhen, who was sitting on the sofa, suddenly felt a huge force hit his chest. Yang Ming didn't leave any leeway at all. Wang Qinzhen's ribs were probably broken. However, Yang Ming didn't stop there. He increased his strength. Wang Qinzhen, together with the sofa behind him, fell backward directly. Even Ouyang Junyuan, who was sitting on the sofa, was affected. He fell to the ground with his arms and legs spread out. Wang Qinzhen was seriously injured. At this moment, he could only groan. Yang Ming had long found this guy unpleasant. If it weren't for the House of Six Tastes, which was a public occasion, Yang Ming would have beaten him up on the spot. The sudden turn of events shocked everyone in the room. Ouyang Junyuan was even more furious. He pointed at Yang Ming and shouted, "You dare to do it? Don't you know who I am? Kid, let me tell you. You are finished. Unless you give Sun Jie to me and then crawl under my crotch, otherwise, I will let your whole family die." Can you say it again? Yang Ming suddenly stretched out his hand and grabbed Ouyang Junyuan's collar. He lifted him up in the air and said fiercely, "I have two taboos. One is my woman, and the other is my family. Unfortunately, you actually used these two to threaten me. I am the second young master of the Ouyang family. You are dead." Ouyang Junyuan was shocked and angry. He looked at Yang Ming, whose eyes were red in front of him. He didn't expect Yang Ming to have such strength that he could pick him up with one hand. Really? The Ouyang family? Is it badass? Yang Ming's tone was full of disdain. I am not afraid to tell you that your so-called Ouyang family may be very powerful in your eyes, but in my eyes, it is nothing. Master. On the other side, Sun San quickly reacted from this sudden change and quickly said to Sun Hongjun, "Mr. Yang, don't worry about him." Sun Hongjun shook his head. Although he also thought that Yang Ming was too impulsive, no matter what, Sun Hongjun was still a boss. He wouldn't be willing to lower his head to others. What's more, now that the grudge had been formed, it wouldn't have much effect if he bowed. Instead, the other party would take advantage of it and threaten him with some excessive conditions. You. Ouyang Junyuan was shocked and angry at the moment. He didn't know if Yang Ming's brain was damaged. He dared to go against the Ouyang family, or did he really have something to rely on? That was an international assassin organization. Who would dare to not obey them? Keep your pants for your mother to drill. Yang Ming said faintly, "Take your dog and go back to your territory. Don't let me see you here. Also, don't think about revenge. If you do something that makes me unhappy, then what awaits your Ouyang family is a disaster." Yang Ming wasn't joking. If he was really annoyed, then he would directly kill his way to Province P and kill all the people of the Ouyang family. If he couldn't kill them all together, then he would kill them one by one. Yang Ming, you don't believe that their family will hide at home and never go out. Yang Ming didn't dare to say that he was facing a group of people, but for a single assassination, Yang Ming believed that he was still successful. You have to leave some leeway. Ouyang Junyuan looked at Yang Ming and said in an arrogant tone, "You will pay the price for what you said today." If this guy had a better attitude, Yang Ming might have let him go, but his current tone didn't mean that he was remorseful. Yang Ming was a little unhappy. Now I have changed my mind. If you want to leave, then you have to leave some souvenirs. After that, regardless of Ouyang Junyuan's reaction, Yang Ming directly picked up the fruit knife on the coffee table and slashed it on Ouyang Junyuan's right thumb. The knife was lifted and the finger fell. Red blood spurted out and dripped all over the floor. Ouyang Junyuan looked at his right hand that was missing a finger. After a while, he howled like a pig being slaughtered. Yang Ming didn't look at Ouyang Junyuan. He simply tapped on his body, and the howling suddenly stopped. Yang Ming let go of the hand that grabbed Ouyang Junyuan's collar, and Ouyang Junyuan directly collapsed to the ground. Too noisy. Yang Ming said indifferently. Ouyang Junyuan's eyes widened. His facial muscles twitched, but his throat couldn't make a sound. I will count to 3. If you don't get lost, I will cut off your little penis. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he began to count, 1, 2. Ouyang Junyuan was scared silly at once. Motherfucker, is this guy crazy? Ouyang Junyuan was really scared this time. How can this Yang Ming make a move just like that? The name of the Ouyang family that I have always been proud of is actually not working. Ouyang Junyuan saw Yang Ming's cold eyes, and his heart began to beat like a drum. If I were slower, this guy might really cut off my little penis. He wanted to beg Yang Ming to slow down. How can he count so fast? However, he couldn't make any sound in his throat. God knows what this guy did to me. When Ouyang Junyuan heard Yang Ming's count of 2, he began to run to the door. Halfway through, he remembered his broken finger. He wanted to turn back to get it. Now that the medical level was so advanced, this thing could be reattached. Yang Ming seemed to see through his thoughts and said, 3. Ouyang Junyuan didn't dare to go back. He ran faster than a rabbit. Old San, find someone to clean up here. Sun Hongjun sighed and said to Sun San, see if that guy is still breathing. If he is, throw him out. If not, throw him into the sea to feed the fish. Yes, master. Sun San replied. Yang Ming, come with me to the study upstairs. Sun Hongjun glanced at Yang Ming and said. Okay, Uncle Sunday. Yang Ming nodded. Sun Hongjuan's current mood was very complicated. The consequences of Yang Ming's actions would be very serious. Although he also agreed with Yang Ming's approach in his heart, Ouyang Junyuan was the second young master of the Ouyang family after all. Yang Ming was so ruthless, which made Sun Hongjun somewhat embarrassed. At the same time, what surprised Sun Hongjun was that Yang Ming was actually so ruthless. He kicked Wang Qinzhen until he was half dead. When he cut off Ouyang Junyuan's finger, there was no hesitation. It was clean and neat. This was more straightforward than some of the elders in his own gang. As a result, Sun Hongjun had to re-examine Yang Ming. Moreover, Yang Ming's calmness also made Sun Hongjun puzzled. Maybe he doesn't know what the Ouyang family does. Sun Hongjun shook his head. It seems that I really have to ask Yang Ming properly. After entering the study, Sun Hongjun pointed to the sofa and said, sit down, Yang Ming. Thank you, Uncle Sunday. Yang Ming nodded and sat on the sofa. Sun Hongjun also sat back behind his boss chair. Yang Ming, do you know what the Ouyang family does? Sun Hongjun sighed and asked seriously. The underworld boss of Province P. Yang Ming said indifferently. Since you know, why are you still so impulsive? Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming's relaxed expression. He was really puzzled. Do you know what consequences your impulsiveness may bring today? I'm sorry, Uncle Sunday. I have brought you trouble. Yang Ming was somewhat apologetic. After all, the incident happened in Sun Hongjuan's house. The Ouyang family was likely to vent their anger on Sun Hongjun. Sun Hongjun waved his hand and said, "Why are you apologizing to me? Aren't you standing up for little Jie? Besides, I'm not worried about me. No matter how powerful the Ouyang family is, it's only a small plot of land in Province P. It's impossible for them to send a large number of people to Donghai to find trouble with me. I'm worried about you now. If the Ouyang family deals with you, what should I do? Uncle Sun, since you know that I'm standing up for little Jia, then you should have heard of the saying, you're angry for a beauty." Yang Ming said faintly, "I can let Ouyang Junyuan walk out of this door alive. I'm already giving face to the Ouyang family. Find trouble with me. Hee hee." Yang Ming smiled with some contempt. If the Ouyang family is still smart, then they can only accept this loss. If they aren't smart, I don't mind letting them become the second Guojinbiao. The second Guojinbiao. Sun Hongjuan's heart suddenly moved. He looked at Yang Ming in surprise. "Do you know why Guojinbiao died?" Yang Ming looked at Sun Hongjun and asked suddenly. "Why? Wasn't it because he had a conflict with Bao Sanli and was killed by him?" As Sun Hongjun said this, he immediately looked at Yang Ming in surprise. How does he know that Guojinbiao is dead? What does his words mean? Could it be Guojinbiao's death is related to him? Chapter 658. It has nothing to do with Bao Sanli. Isn't it his stupid son who is pestering little Jie? I have given him a chance to let him go. I didn't expect his father, Guojinbiao, to be as stupid as him. Yang Ming loosened his shoulders and said, he even came up with a bunch of compensation treaties. I was annoyed by him, so I could only kill him. What? Sun Hongjun was shocked. Yang Ming's words were too shocking. It made Sun Hongjun at a loss for a while. Yang Ming actually said that he killed Guojinbiao. And it was also for little Jie. The shock that this brought to Sun Hongjun was really too big. Moreover, it was actually for little Jie. If this was the case, then Sun Hongjun could rest assured that his daughter would be given to Yang Ming. You mean, Guojinbiao was killed by you? Sun Hongjun asked in bewilderment. Hee, yeah, right. He came with that Master Qi. Master Qi was kicked out by me, and Guojinbiao was killed directly. Yang Ming said indifferently, that Guojinbiao is quite interesting. He kept mentioning Uncle Sun's name. He also said that you would help him annex Song Jiang's territory. I didn't say this. Sun Hongjun quickly denied it. The current situation was too weird. He didn't know what Yang Ming's position was in Song Jiang's underworld, but it was obviously not low. Just because he was unhappy, he could kill Guojinbiao. He was obviously a heavyweight character. Moreover, it seemed that Yang Ming's strength wasn't weak. He could kill Guojinbiao with lightning speed and take over Jiduan City. How much strength did this require? Sun Hongjun asked himself, I can't do this. Yeah, I told him that Sun Hongjun is my fiancé's father. That is, my future father-in-law. How can he deal with me with an idiot like you? Yang Ming nodded. Sun Hongjun was shocked and carefully probed, Yang Ming, Song Jiang's Bao Sanli and you, oh, Uncle Sun, you're one of us, so I won't hide it from you. Yang Ming smiled and said, Bao Sanli and Big Ho are my underlings, but I am still in college. I don't like the underworld, so I let them take care of it. Shock. It was absolutely shocking. Although he had long guessed that Yang Ming was related to Song Jiang's underworld, he didn't expect that Bao Sanli and Ho Jinhan, who were powerful in Song Jiang, were actually Yang Ming's underlings. Thinking of Bao Sonli's rapid rise, Sun Hongjun finally understood that this was not a coincidence. Otherwise, how could a hooligan become the underground leader of a city so quickly? There must be a powerful force secretly supporting him from behind. And according to Yang Ming's words, the power behind Bao Sonli was him. How was this possible? How old was Yang Ming? Jiduan City was also sent by you. Sun Hongjun was a big boss after all. Although he was shocked, he quickly calmed down his emotions. Yes, but the people sent to Jiduan City were not Bao Sonli's underlings, but one of my forces. I don't want to have casualties. After all, Bao Sonli is a hooligan. Although they can take down Jiduan City, the loss will be terrible. Yang Ming nodded and said. After Li Chang's forces appeared in Jiduan City, Yang Ming couldn't hide it even if he wanted to. The underlings of the money gang who escaped in Jiduan City would definitely spread the news. Therefore, Yang Ming might as well be generous and tell this to Sun Hongjun. You have other forces. Sun Hongjun listened to Yang Ming's words and was shocked. If he hadn't received the news of Guo Jinbiao's death, Sun Hongjun really thought that he was dreaming now. I said that I don't pay much attention to the development of the underworld. Yang Ming said with a smile, I don't like the feeling of not being in control of things. The underworld is a very complicated organization. I don't want someone to use it to deal with me. Although I'm not afraid, I find it annoying, so I can only control it in my hands. Speechless, Sun Hongjun was completely speechless. Yang Ming is really too powerful. No wonder he said such words this morning. One Song Jiang is not enough. Can I add another Jiduan? This is not a boast, but a fact. Sun Hongjun suddenly felt that he was old. He had been busy for decades, but his achievements were not as high as Yang Ming's. Can you tell me? What is your trump card? Sun Hongjun hesitated and said, the Ouyang family is the underworld leader of the entire province. This. Uncle Sun, sorry, I can't say it. Yang Ming shook his head. But if I want to get rid of the Ouyang family, it is not impossible. Yang Ming thought, if I can persuade Fang Tian and ask him to do it together, then no matter how badass the Ouyang family is, it can only be done for. Donghai, Songjiang, and Jiduan are the three important cities in our province V. They are all under our control, so in terms of overall strength, we are not necessarily afraid of the Ouyang family. After Sun Hongjun knew this, he was relieved. In terms of a real battle, this was his territory. The Ouyang family would definitely not take advantage, but he was afraid that the Ouyang family would play some tricks, so he said, the Ouyang family is different from the ordinary underworld family. It is said that one of the world's assassin organizations, the Russian Hawkeye Group, is supported by the Ouyang family. It is easy to dodge a spear in the open, but difficult to guard against a stab in the dark. Assassin. Hawkeye Group. Yang Ming snorted disdainfully. What is it? I have never heard of it. It was no wonder that Yang Ming was disdainful. Fang Tian had already told him about the ranking of the world's famous assassin organizations. There was no Hawkeye Group at all. Moreover, he had never seen this name in the top 30. Sun Hongjun's face was full of black lines. He thought, how can you know about the Russian assassin organization? Assassins and Underworld are two different organizations. However, seeing Yang Ming's disdainful expression, Sun Hongjun's heart moved. Do you have a connection with the assassin organization? Yang Ming smiled but did not answer. Assassins. In fact, Li Chang and the others were almost the same as assassins under my own training. However, they were more powerful than the average assassin. Most assassins acted alone and had no team spirit. Yang Ming's team was not only good at individual combat, but their collective cooperation was also very tacit. Sun Hongjun was more and more unable to see through Yang Ming. Yang Ming was too mysterious. Sun Hongjun really couldn't guess how much power was behind him. Sun Hongjun was shocked by Yang Ming's fierce skills in the living room, especially when he didn't know how he turned Ouyang Junyuan into a mute. "Uncle Sun, you don't have to worry so much." Yang Ming smiled and said, "If you are really worried, then I will go and mess with the Ouyang family. However, we have to say it first. When the underworld of Province P has no leader, Uncle Sun, you have to take care of it." "Aw. It doesn't seem right, right?" Sun Hongjun shook his head in a daze. "I seem to want to train you to be my successor, don't?" Yang Ming immediately waved his hand. "I have already said that my ambition is not in the underworld. If you have the energy, help me take care of Song Jiang and Jiduan." Sun Hongjun was dumbfounded at once. He looked at Yang Ming with a dumbfounded expression. After a while, he said, "I am anxious to let little Jia find a man because I want to retire." "Why are you doing this?" "I'm just kidding. The people in my hands are enough for the time being. However, Uncle Sun, you still have to worry about Dong Hai. Wait until Jiduan and Song Jiang are stable." Yang Ming smiled. "You scared me to death." Sun Hongjun had already regarded Yang Ming as his own son-in-law at the moment, so he was too lazy to ask for Yang Ming's territory. Wasn't this looking for trouble? Anyway, it would be like this sooner or later. They would be a family in the future. If it were someone else who wanted to give Sun Hongjun a territory, he would take it back even if he was exhausted. This was the difference in mentality. In the morning, he was still thinking about whether he could get a share, but in the evening, he began to decline. "However, Uncle Sun, there is one thing that I have to confess to you first." Taking advantage of his current strength, Yang Ming was ready to talk to Sun Hongjun about his several women. "Oh. If you have something to say, just say it. Why do you still need to confess?" Sun Hongjun waved his hand and smiled. Obviously, his mood was very good now. "Uncle Sun, in fact, in addition to Sun Jia, I have other women." Yang Ming said word by word. "Oh." Sun Hongjun was not as angry as he imagined, but he gave a flat "oh." Yang Ming was a little nervous. Although he was a fake son-in-law, Yang Ming really wanted to accept Sun Jia. After all, Sun Jia was his woman. Yang Ming didn't allow his woman not to be by his side. Therefore, Sun Hongjun's opinion was still very important. Yang Ming couldn't ignore it. "Does little Jia know?" After a while, Sun Hongjun said slowly. Chapter 659. "I know." Yang Ming nodded. This wasn't hidden from Sun Hongjun. Sun Jia already knew that Yang Ming had other women. "Then don't tell me about this. It's between you and little Jia. I don't want to participate." Sun Hongjun was an underworld hero. Although he didn't have many wives, he had seen this kind of thing a lot. He didn't have much resistance. Moreover, Yang Ming's current identity and status had already made Sun Hongjun look at him with admiration. There was no more contempt in the morning because Sun Hongjun was mainly afraid that Yang Ming and Sun Jia had a purpose together. It was to plot against the Sun family's business. However, Yang Ming's business was much bigger than the Sun family's. Sun Hongjun wouldn't even look at his own business. "There is one more thing. Uncle Sun, I don't want to hide it from you." Yang Ming thought about it and said. "Oh. There is still something. You won't tell me that you not only have a woman outside, but also a man, right?" Sun Hongjun was originally joking, but as soon as the words left his mouth, he suddenly thought of his daughter. Could it be that Sun Jia has a woman outside? He had heard some rumors about his daughter. Could it be true? This is not it. Yang Ming shook his head and said, in fact, this is the case. Little Jia and I are not in the kind of relationship you think. What do you mean? Sun Hongjun was stunned and asked nervously. How do I say it? It means that although little Jia is my woman, we haven't established a relationship yet. Yang Ming touched his chin and explained. Little Jia is your woman. Sun Hongjun didn't understand the meaning of Yang Ming's words. He smiled ambiguously and inexplicably. What nonsense is this? You two decide on your own. I won't interfere. Yang Ming was helpless. He wanted to tell Sun Hongjun that his boyfriend was temporary and hadn't been upgraded to a formal relationship. He didn't expect this old guy to not listen to his explanation at all. Yang Ming was now most afraid that Sun Hongjun would come to talk to him every few days, so he wanted to clarify his relationship with Sun Jia. However, it didn't seem to have any effect. After the two of them had a secret conversation in the study, the grudge between Sun Hongjun and Yang Ming disappeared. The two of them went downstairs and put aside their previous unhappiness. It was as if the bloody scene in the room had never happened. The things in the house had been put back to their original places, and the bloodstains on the ground had been wiped clean. The two people talked and laughed as they returned to the dining room. Because of Sun Hongjun's position at home, no matter how big the commotion outside was, Sun Jia and Mother Sun would not go out to watch. Come to think of it, it wasn't like such a thing hadn't happened before. What happened just now? Who are they? Seeing the two of them return, Sun's mother asked worriedly. It's nothing. I've already sent him away. Let's continue eating. As he spoke, Sun Hongjun gave Yang Ming a look. He was afraid that Mother Sun and Sun Jia would be worried, so he didn't want to tell them what had just happened. However, with this in and out, the most obvious thing was Sun Hongjun's attitude toward Yang Ming. It changed from the initial indifference to enthusiasm. While Mother Sun was happy, she had some doubts. However, this was what she wanted to see, so she didn't ask any questions. In other words, after Ouyang Junyuan stumbled out of the Sun family, he still had some lingering fear. What is this? People from a small place just can't do it. No quality. Ouyang Junyuan thought fiercely. The guy named Yang Ming must be a country bumpkin. He didn't know the identity behind him, so he was so arrogant. I will definitely make him pay the price he deserves. Enduring the pain in his hand, Ouyang Junyuan stopped a taxi and returned to Province P overnight. Ouyang Junwei was dealing with the accounts of some underworld businesses in the study. Suddenly, the butler knocked on the door and came in. Young master, what's wrong? Uncle Qin, didn't I say before? When I'm dealing with the accounts, don't disturb me. Ouyang Junwei frowned and said. Young master, it's not good. Butler Qin said anxiously, I have an urgent matter. What's the matter? Tell me quickly. Ouyang Junwei closed the account in front of him, then looked up and asked. He also knew that Butler Qin was usually very obedient and wouldn't disturb him when he was working. At this moment, something must have happened. Young master, the second young master was cut off. Butler Qin said quickly. What? Junyuan was cut off. Ouyang Junwei stood up and said anxiously, where is it? Take me to see it. It's downstairs. The doctor is bandaging him, said Butler Qin. Oh. Let's go. Ouyang Junwei breathed a sigh of relief. If it was bandaged at home, then the injury was definitely not serious. Coming to the living room downstairs, Ouyang Junwei saw Ouyang Junyuan sitting on the sofa with a grimace, so he said, Junyuan, what happened? Big brother. When Ouyang Junyuan saw his big brother coming down, he immediately cried, Big brother, you must avenge me. My thumb was cut off. Oh. Yang Junwei was stunned, then the expression on his face became gloomy. What the hell is going on? Who did it? Can the finger be connected? I didn't bring the broken finger back. It must be that it can't be connected. Yang Junyuan said with a sad face. Motherfucker. Who is so vicious? Who dares to do this to you? Yang Junwei was furious after hearing it. So, my brother's hand was crippled, and it was his right hand. How could he not be angry? Although he had some unpleasantness with his brother because of the power struggle, the brotherhood of many years wasn't fake. With Yang Junyuan taking the initiative to give up competing with him for the family master's position, the relationship between the two brothers was better than before. Moreover, Yang Junwei wasn't married, so his feelings for his brother had become more loving. At this moment, when he saw that his brother's hand was crippled, his eyes immediately turned red. It's the Sun family. Donghai's Sun family. Yang Junyuan naturally wouldn't say that he wanted to snatch someone's daughter back. He just said, I went to Donghai with Wang Qinzhen to do something. As a result, I saw a girl with good qualifications. I asked Wang Qinzhen to ask if the girl had the intention to develop in the entertainment industry. As a result, the girl was the daughter of Donghai's boss, Sun Hongjun. If he didn't agree, then he didn't agree. A kid actually said that he was Sun Jie's boyfriend. Not only did he hurt Wang Qinzhen, but he also cut off my finger. What? Yang Junwei slammed the table. He didn't put our Ouyang family in his eyes, right? Right, did you tell him that you are the second young master of the Ouyang family? I said it. Why didn't I say it? But they said that the Ouyang family is nothing in his eyes, said Yang Junyuan. Junyuan, you can rest assured. Brother will definitely avenge you. Yang Junwei sneered. The person who cut you, I will cut him into pieces. As for the woman you said, I will capture her and let you fuck her to death. Then, thank you, big brother. Yang Junyuan was overjoyed when he heard it. You rest well first. Big brother will take care of everything for you. Don't worry. Said Yang Junwei. Back in the study, Yang Junyuan made a few phone calls and ordered his people to investigate Sun Hongjun, as well as his daughter and son-in-law. As soon as he finished the order, he received a call from his father, Yang Kanki. Xiao Wei, what happened? I heard Butler Qin call me and said that Xiao Yuan was injured. Asked Yang Kanki. Yes, father. It was done by the Sun family of Donghai. Yang Junwei said without any surprise. Because Butler Qin was his father's person, he was loyal to his father. His father would know his every move. Although his father was far away in Russia, he could often handle the gang affairs remotely. What are you going to do? I heard that you are going to take revenge. Asked Yang Kanki. Yes, father. My right thumb was cut off. This revenge must be avenged. Yang Junwei said, they really don't put our Ouyang family in their eyes. Oh. Then you tell me how to take revenge. Yang Kanki continued to ask. Of course, it is to take people to Donghai. We can't lose the prestige of our Ouyang family. Said Yang Junwei boldly. Stupid. Yang Kanki said sternly, revenge must be taken, but you are taking people to Donghai. If this isn't stupid, then what is? What's wrong? Yang Junwei was a little overwhelmed by his father's reprimand. If we take people there, how many people can we take? Donghai is their territory. In the end, they will have the advantage. Yang Kanki said, if you really take people there, it will be a long battle. It is likely to be a stalemate. At that time, you will be in a dilemma. Let's see what you can do. Chapter 660. This. Ouyang Junwei listened to his father's analysis and immediately broke into a cold sweat. Sure enough, my father was right. If I really did that, the consequences would be unimaginable. But he was unwilling. Then, this little brother's matter, are we just going to forget about it? Forget it. Of course, it can't be forgotten. Ouyang Kenki said, you send someone to contact the Sun family. It is best to negotiate with them. Of course, you have to fight for some conditions. As for the murderer who hurt little Yuan, I will be responsible for it. You don't have to worry about it. I understand, father. Ouyang Junwei nodded and said, then, I will leave little Yuan's matter to you. You little brat, little Yuan is your brother and my son. Ouyang Kenki laughed and said, but I am very pleased with the relationship between you two brothers now. Don't worry. Don't you trust your father? The guy who hurt little Yuan, I will make him pay 10 times the price. Humph, that's right. I almost forgot. Father, you are the leader of the Hawkeye group. Ouyang Junwei sneered. Little did they know that the Ouyang father and son's plan, which they thought was flawless, sent them to the road to hell. The assassin group, which was not famous, also announced its demise. After dinner, Sun's mother said, little Yang, stay at home tonight. Butler's son, go and clean up a guest room. Clean up what guest room? I will just stay in a room with little Jia. Sun Hongjun waved his hand and said. Ah. Sun's mother was completely puzzled this time. Why did my old man change so strangely? Even Sun Jia frowned and looked at her father in confusion. She didn't know what he meant. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Sun Hongjun coughed twice and explained that, we are not old fogies. When young people are dating, which one of them hasn't been in bed before? Ugh. Yang Ming and Sun Jia both looked at Sun Hongjun dumbfoundedly. Isn't this old guy too direct? As a matter of fact, since Sun Hongjun had decided on Yang Ming, he couldn't let this matter fall through. He was still anxious to hold his grandson. Since he had determined the candidate for his son-in-law, the next big thing was to quickly get a grandson. What's with your expressions? However, Sun Hongjun had a straight face and said seriously, Shao Jia, I'm not an unenlightened person. You're already so big, so what's there to be embarrassed about? What's done is done. Do you dare say that the two of you have never slept together? Sun Jia was speechless for a while. She really didn't dare to say it. Since he had done it once, he had done it before. However, his current relationship with Yang Ming, that's enough, old Sunday. Are you drunk? However, Mother Sun couldn't bear to listen any longer. When she saw the two embarrassed children, she quickly helped them out. How can you talk about these things openly? Just ignore him and go back to your rooms to play. I'll scold him. Let's go. Sharing a room with Sun Jie? Yang Ming, on the other hand, was greatly moved. This idea sounded very good. Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming. How could she not see through his crooked thoughts? However, he couldn't say much in front of his mother. He could only say, Mom, we'll go upstairs first. Go ahead, go ahead. Mother Sun waved her hand. Yang Ming hugged Sun Jie's slim waist and went upstairs side by side. When they came to the innermost room, Sun Jie pushed the door open and said, Don't mess around. Why? Is there a secret? Yang Ming didn't hesitate. He walked in and sat on Sun Jie's bed. What he didn't expect was that Sun Jie's bed was actually a double bed. It was just right for two people to sleep. Get up. Are your pants dirty? Just sit around. Sun Jie said, I sleep naked at night. Don't get dust. Ha, just right. I also sleep naked. Yang Ming said shamelessly, since you said that my pants are dirty, then I'll take them off. Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming fiercely and said, you dare. Why wouldn't I dare? Yang Ming said as he was going to take off his pants. My parents are downstairs. Can you be serious? Sun Jia said helplessly. She had never been able to scare Yang Ming. How serious am I? Didn't your dad say it? We can do that. Yang Ming smiled. Okay, if you're not afraid, then take it off. Sun Jia simply said with a smile. What am I afraid of? Yang Ming looked at Sun Jia's fox-like smile and suddenly felt some chills on his body. Count to 3. I'll cut off your penis. Sun Jia said slyly. N. Yang Ming was stunned. How fierce. She is indeed Sun Hongjuan's daughter. She can even say this. But when he thought about the time when he first met Sun Jia, she also said more bold words, so he didn't feel that it was strange. But, wait, why does this sound so familiar? It seems to be. Sun Jia, did you peek just now? Yang Ming suddenly thought of something. He raised his head and looked at Sun Jia with a half-smile. So what if I did? Sun Jia suddenly said seriously, Yang Ming, your courage is really not small. You even dare to hit the young master of the Ouyang family. Isn't it because of you? Yang Ming snorted and snorted. I really don't know what to say about you. Sun Jia was somewhat helpless. She sat next to Yang Ming and said with some resentment, Yang Ming, can you not be so impulsive? You stood up for me. I understand, but have you thought about the consequences of your actions? Are you afraid that the Ouyang family will retaliate against you? Yang Ming reached out and hugged Sun Jia's shoulder from behind. He leaned her into his arms. Don't worry. I'm here for everything. Yang Ming. Sun Jia was angry and amused. She struggled for a while, but she couldn't break free. She no longer insisted, but she said, you are always so arrogant. What am I afraid of? Donghai is my family's territory. Even if the Ouyang family is powerful, the strong dragon can't suppress the local snake. Do you understand this? I'm worried about you now. Worried about me? Yang Ming's hand gradually climbed up Sun Jia's chest. He said as if nothing happened, really? You care about me? Could it be that you fell in love with me? I'm sorry. Not yet. Sun Jia shook her head and said, you were right before. I like women, so I just don't hate you. It doesn't matter. My biggest dream in this life is to find a pair of lesbians to be my wives. Yang Ming boasted, introduce your other half to me one day. Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming's appearance. She really didn't know what to say. Think about it. Lesbians are so good. I'm not afraid that you will cheat because when I'm not at home, you can solve the XX problem by yourself. Moreover, if you have children, then there is no doubt that they are all mine. Yang Ming began to fantasize. You go to hell. Sun Jia was so angry that her face was livid. She slapped away Yang Ming's hand that was playing tricks on her body. Don't even think about it. Don't you think that having XX with a real man is better than having sex with a woman? Yang Ming ignored Sun Jia and continued to ask. Sun Jia simply closed her mouth and didn't want to give Yang Ming a chance to continue to play. Do you still need to think about it for so long? Yang Ming saw that Sun Jia didn't speak, but he deliberately continued to tease her. Which is more refreshing? You should remember it clearly, right? Sun Jia listened to Yang Ming's words. Her nose was crooked, but she had no words to refute. Sun Jia was very smart, but Yang Ming's topic was too ambiguous. Don't look at how Sun Jie usually joked with Yang Mingkai without blushing, but when it came to the real thing, she couldn't do it. Oh, I got it. Yang Ming suddenly shouted as he suddenly realized something. Then he didn't speak. Although Sun Jie didn't refute, she was listening to what Yang Ming said. When she saw Yang Ming suddenly say, "I know," Sun Jie wondered what he knew. However, after waiting for a long time, there was no follow-up, so she couldn't help but ask, "What do you know?" "We have only done it once." "You definitely didn't experience it deeply. You forgot what it felt like," said Yang Ming. Sun Jie didn't want to continue this topic, so she perfunctorily answered. In fact, how could she forget the feeling of pleasure at that time? It was the first time in her life, so how could she forget just like that? However, now Sun Jie hadn't figured out how to deal with her relationship with Yang Ming. Sure enough. Yang Ming slapped his thigh and said, "That's easy. Can't we just experience it again?" "You dare." Sun Jie didn't want her relationship with Yang Ming to be established only on the bed, although that kind of feeling made her somewhat nostalgic. Looking at Sun Jie's somewhat charming anger, Yang Ming immediately had a big appetite. His lower body also had a reaction. This voodoo. Yang Ming shamelessly blamed his own reaction on the voodoo.